Now, what's going on down there? There's a conversation, I suspect it's about the ball again, is it?
Let's have a look. It's about Rishabh's gloves.
Was it Rishabh's gloves? There's a lot of tape going on.
Again, it's just it happens in Test cricket, this, doesn't it? Straight after tea, you go out there and Rishabh, I've got something wrong with my gloves.
Yes. Well, I suspect we're going to see the over 8 down to a crawl here, although they've already lost 2 World Championship points and they've fined 40% for their over 8 in the first Test match. Johnny Bairstow's arrived, of course, so it's all Yorkshire.
And he's now got a problem with his back grip.
Yes, that's odd, isn't it, as well?
He's having to play with his grip there.
Yep, he's fiddling with that. Funny old dismissal of Malanza, wasn't it? I mean, Pant didn't think for a moment that was out.
No, it was Siraj, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He convinced them, and but when you saw the replay,
little spike.
Yeah, he couldn't have hit anything else, just a little feather. Unfortunate for Milan, he played beautifully.
So 298 for 3, and England lead by 220. There's 38 overs remaining to be bowled tonight. I don't suspect we'll see all of those, but that's where we stand in the game at the moment. Joe Root's playing magnificently. He's 80 not out, and Jadeja moves in and bowls to him, and he turns the first ball out to mid-wicket. Crowd drifting back. It's been a quiet day today.
I think it'll get going now, Negus.
Yeah.
I think they're ready.
It's a day of England just building on their position, really. Jadeja tosses that up, hits him on the pad. Appeal for leg before wicket. Umpire Wolf won't think much of that, I don't think. Going down the leg side from here. And Root looks around a deep square leg where he would like to just tickle that ball away for his first run after tea. What's happening now? Conversation with Umpire and Jadeja about something. What's going on here? Root settling over his bat again. The bearded Jadeja bowls his left arm spin and Root punches that back up the pitch in the air for a little while. It bounced 2 or 3 times before reaching the bowler. 298 for 3. Root on 80. Waits again. Jadeja turns that arm over again and Root plays him carefully to mid-wicket. Seen one ball turn very sharply today, and it bowled Hamid from nowhere. An apparently immaculate forward defensive shot, and he lost his off bail. Jadeja bowls, and Root again tries to flick that away across the spin and almost got a leading edge there. 298 for 3. Jadeja to complete the over, bowls short and back goes Root and cuts hard. There's a man there at backward point now. He went straight to him, which was fortunate for India because a couple of yards either side, and that would have been 4 more runs to Root's favourite area. 298 for 3. The lead 220. Bairstow's about to face his first ball.
Yeah, I get the sense with the crowd at Headingley, like most crowds around the UK, that the first session they come and watch the cricket. I think the second session they just kind of get a bit looser, and they get a little bit more vocal. I feel that they build for this last session, and I think now you will get them at their finest.
Well, that's an interesting expression. But I think I know what you mean.
It feels like it's just been so they kind of have a few throwdowns in the morning, and then in the afternoon they have a little bit of middle practice, and then it's game time.
Well, there's a lot of movement over there, and the stewards are sort of loitering at the moment. Siraj is going to continue.
It's the first maiden since the first over after lunch.
Really?
David Malan's final figures we didn't get round to before tea. 70 of 128 balls with 11 fours, his second highest Test score in the partnership with Root was 139 in 31 overs at just under 4.5 runs per over.
He plays a wonderful shot.
Yeah, he looked a very organised, classy player, didn't he?
Siraj bounces in and bowls, and Bairstow's off the mark straight away, whipping it away off his hip, and finds Ishant Sharma just down to our left here at long leg. So 299 for 3. Just thinking during tea, when was the last time England's selectors got everything right? Because this match so far, it's all clicked. Overton.
Yeah. Hamid to open. Malan at 3. Yeah, it's been a good week. Played good cricket.
Root settles down again. There's still that huge gap there from second slip round to point, or cover point really, as the first ball he faces from Siraj brings him forward. He pats it back up the pitch. Grey day
series,
today.
was it?
Oh, sorry.
2014. I remember when Alistair was captain in the Indian series, and they lost at Lords, and
Yep.
the wheels were off.
Yeah,
English
were.
cricket wheels. It was gone. There was no chance. And all of a sudden, I went down to the GS Bowl and won there, and ended up winning the series quite convincingly. Could happen again here if India don't perk up. I'm not saying in this game, they'll have to find some kind of confidence in the second innings, but
Siraj bowls to Root. Back he goes, fiddling it away into that offside position, but the man there comes in quickly.
if they don't find that same dedication and discipline that we saw at Trent Bridge with the batting hand and at Lords, particularly in the first innings, they'll be on the same kind of path of what we've seen before in the UK.
But it's unbelievable what's happened in this last week. It seems amazing. All that noise and the hostility, aggression, steamrollering England to defeat. Siraj bowls and Root is forward. That's fielded as extra cover by Shami. And to come and produce a performance like this, it's amazing.
Yeah, there'll be some chat shows in India, won't there? There'll be ruffling a few feathers.
Yep. They do phone-ins over there, they probably do.
Well, I'm sure they do everything. They certainly do lots of digital shows. They'll be dissecting this performance.
299 for 3. Siraj bowls short of a length, and Root can whip that away to the leg side, taking one. That's all they have, although the field of their slips actually. On the edge of the square. 300 up for England. Lead back on that double Nelson again. 2-2-2. Root 81.
A few palm trees there in the terrace.
Yep.
Inflatable ones, nice to see. A few Hawaiians shirts on down at the bottom there next to the Teletubbies. You can see them. Looks like there's one being paraded along the front there. No, the palm trees are being attacked by something.
Yes. I think as Siraj bowls, and Bairstow takes the bottom hand off the bat handle, but still picks up a single. Trickles away out to deep square leg. So he goes to 2. And England 301 for 3. And it has been one of those quietly building sorts of days today, where England is simply consolidating really on that remarkable day of yesterday.
I think it was a flamingo. The flamingo attacked the palm trees. It's nice, that pink flamingo. Did you see it?
Look at the nuns.
Where are they?
Just sitting down, and all they were doing there.
It's nice and peaceful.
Oh well. They can entertain themselves, because the cricket, I mean, the afternoon session was brilliant. It really was, from pure an England perspective. The rate of scoring, the way that they played.
Yeah, there's games within games, isn't there? Johnny Bairstow, he's looked nice in this series without the big score. So he'll fancy on his home turf to go on and get a nice number. Never get a better chance, will you? I mean,
not really.
Tired ball in the town. There's no real swing out there.
The hard work's been done, and it's interesting. Alistair Cook talking about
that sign on the screen, I guess.
Pitch it up, collapse is coming.
I'm not too sure that's going to be true.
That's a very optimistic Indian supporter. Jadeja bowls is very full, clipped away by Bairstow to mid-on. 301 for 3. New ball has come and gone, really. There's a 17th over with it. Didn't do much. Sun is trying to come out, trying to break through these clouds. Jadeja again goes in round the wicket. This is played off the front foot. Jadeja peels there. Maybe hoping that'd have been padded to bat or something like that, appealing for leg before wicket, but he didn't receive much support from behind. In fact, he came off the middle of the bat looking at that. Jadeja again bowls, and Bairstow comes again onto the front foot. Jadeja fields in the follow-through. 301 for 3. Jadeja spins himself a catch, peels up the sleeve of his shirt, hitches up his trousers, and moves in again, just off a couple of paces, and Bairstow again is defensively.
The new Emerald stand, I guess, it's magnificent. That middle tier, I think that's the hospitality section. I don't think too many have come out after tea. You can see there's a lot of empty seats. I just wonder whether they're enjoying the festivities.
Well, I know what's been going on in there. 301 for 3, and here's Jadeja. That's driven hard. Oh, and that's a appeal for a catch, and this would be a freakish dismissal if it's out. The Bairstow drove that into Silly Point's legs. He's there with his padding on. The ball rebounded for punt.
Surely not.
Who caught it, And the umpires are now conferring because the Indians have asked about this. And umpire Wolf saying, give me the ball. And they're having a conversation. Umpire Kettleborough is saying, look, let's just have a look at it. Let's be safe. But it was driven hard into the part of the silly point field as well anyway.
Not out, there's a soft
To the umpire
signal.
to director, we have an umpire review for a fair catch. It's a fair delivery, so can we have a look at your best angle, please?
See what's coming here. We should get it fairly quickly, I think, because we've got a good angle on this. And, well...
Okay, drop that back, please.
It certainly comes off the boot and up into the air, and the catch is taken. But I think that bounces first.
Okay,
I think
it's
Yeah.
clearly bounced.
2 or 3 inches in
So we can go
front of the
to
right
the big
boot.
screen with my decision.
It's a nice little layoff though by Pujara.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't bad. A few in the Premiership looking at that. We've got the sun on our screen here, so we couldn't see it totally clearly. But the third umpire could. 301 for 3. It's not out.
So what's happening over there that you know about in the...
Oh, did you see how they all came pouring out during lunch and sat outside?
No.
Oh, the seats were full.
At lunchtime?
Yeah.
Okay.
It goes Jadeja and bowls. That's played away into the leg side by Bairstow to end the over. 301 for 3. He's got 2.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going.
Root has 81.
I think I know. Someone was speaking inside, wasn't they?
They were.
Yeah. Ex-Yorkshire player.
He was.
Ex-England opening batsman.
He was.
Yes.
Jeffrey Boycott was speaking, and the seats outside suddenly just filled up.
You're cruel.
I know. Nice to see him. I've only seen him from a distance, though. I've not caught up with the old boy yet. See how he's doing. He liked Hamid batting because, of course, you remember when Hamid first appeared, he was called Baby Boycott, wasn't he?
And he played well. He played with good defence. Didn't quite get into his rhythm of scoring today, did he? He got a little bit bogged down. He bowled a few short balls to him.
Siraj on his way, bowls and Root drives. That's a nice shot. Goes to mid-off. That's straighter than you often see Root playing, and straight to the fielder. 301 for 3. Not many opening batsmen you see get onto the front foot as readily as Hamid does, is it? He plays incredibly simply forward.
Yeah, nice. I mean, I guess looking at that, you would argue that on bouncy Australian wickets it might be a little bit vulnerable. We'll have to wait and see.
Siraj on his way, bowls. Root plays that very late, dabbing into where Gully would have been. But there's a big gap there. Picks up 1. 302 for 3. Root moves to 82.
Here we go. The trumpet's starting. I guess it tells you just after tea. This is game time for them.
Well, the new trumpeter's put in some fleeting appearances today. I assume Billy Cooper, who retired, is back on Matilda duty, is it? Where he spends most of his time. Is that up and running again? I hope so. Theatre's slowly coming back to life, aren't they? It's a good show, that. Have you taken your kids to see Matilda?
No, not yet. Not yet. We'll do it at some stage.
Siraj on his way, bowls his edge and doesn't carry. A couple of times we've seen that today.
See, I've had a funny experience for the first time as a parent this week. On Tuesday evening, I had to get into the car for the first time with my 17-year-old to drive me.
Yeah, I've been there.
Now, that's scary.
It is.
She did very well.
Right.
She managed to get me back from a restaurant.
Do you find it your feet, and especially your
Well,
left,
you kind of lean over a bit, don't you?
into-
Your kind of right foot goes a bit over towards the... just ready to jump in,
It
just
does.
in case.
Siraj over the wicket, bowls to Bairstow, flicks that down to mid-on. Oh, well, so she's starting up, is she?
Yeah, she's going through her lessons. She's got her test in October. She's done a written test. She passed that, so she's on her way.
Excellent.
And then she's packed her bags and she's got Leeds Festival this week, music festival. They all go and listen to a bit of music.
Well, I remember you leaving the ground when she was born.
Yeah, that's right.
You shot off. We were at the other end of those days. Comes Siraj and bowls outside the off stump, and that beats Bairstow, pushing forward, genuinely beat him there, and to crack past the outside edge. That was 17 years ago.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
Michael, can't believe that.
Yeah, it's long. So in the mornings, if you walk around Leeds town centre, I was walking around this morning at half, and there's so many of these kids that are on the way to the Leeds Festival with their backpacks and their tents ready to go. They look all right at the minute. I'd like to see them again on Sunday when they come back.
I'll tell you what we did that night, because when you left and drove off to Sheffield, didn't you, for her birth, there's Bairstow playing down to mid-off, and there's no run. Well, it must have been, I'm assuming it was a Friday evening. It was a Friday when you went off, right, because our guest for View from the Boundary was our dear old friend Roger Lloyd-Pack, who came a day early because he wanted to, actually, he learns his lines while watching cricket, and he appeared a day early on the Friday. So that Friday evening, you'd gone off. We went out for dinner with Roger into Leeds, and the amount of "right, Daves" he got was just, I mean, poor man. Everywhere, right, Dave, and he'd just smile and wave, and he did so well. But then the text came through that you'd had a daughter. So there you go. This is Root looking to turn the ball away into the leg side. That turned a little bit.
Yeah, I think Mo and Adley will be looking at what Jadeja's done today. We'll know that in the second innings he'll have a little bit of something, plenty of runs to play with, but also a surface to play with as well.
Jadeja again, and that's pushed away off the back foot to point. What did Moeen get hit? I've got this memory of Moeen picking up a load of wickets against India here. I suppose it was probably two series ago. Was it when Moeen had that really good bowling series against India? So it's played off the front foot by Root. He remains at 82. They didn't seem to take him very seriously, and they really attacked him. And he got a lot of wickets. I just got a memory of him bowling, getting people out here.
The Aussies did that for a while. David Warner used to dance down to Mo and try and whack him.
Jadeja is tossed up, works into the leg side gap. One more to Joe Root.
Yes, the likes of Liam Gallagher are playing at the Leeds Festival. Right. Stormzy. Yeah, Stormzy's on.
Right.
But the music doesn't start till Friday night, but they get there on Wednesday to set, get the tents ready.
Where is it?
I don't know, somewhere in Leeds.
Right.
Not quite sure what they do for 2 days before the music starts, but they get set.
Bairstow looks around the field, a silly point, another slip, and Jadeja goes in round the wicket quite wide and bowls gun barrel straight to Bairstow.
Have you had a portrait done of you? I guess you must have had someone do a portrait.
One or two.
Any side-ons or?
No, I didn't. Have to do that in landscape. There's the last ball of the over. It's turned away down to fine leg, and there is no run. So there we go, 20 minutes after tea. England have moved along carefully. 225 is the lead. I think Andy might have found the match I was talking about, or even not.
No.
That's disappointing.
Moeen has 6 wickets, average 62 in his 4 previous tests at Leeds.
Oh, disappointing. There must have been somewhere else.
Maybe Old Trafford it was.
There we go. Michael Vaughan and Dan's coming in here.
It could be the Aegeus Bowl against India. He had success there, didn't he, last time, I think it was?
Yeah, had 2 tests at the Aegeus Bowl, 8 wickets in the match in 2014, 9 in the match in 2018, had a 4 for 39 in the second innings at Old Trafford in 2014, as well in his debut summer.
Well, the blow-up melon has been passed around the Western Stand. It's got to that stage, Dan. It's got to that kind of moment that you just feel that to the right of you, you'll be hearing quite a lot.
Siraj, it's a Root who cuts this down to the boundary for 4. It was close to the man stationed at around about a 4th slip region. It was a deliberate shot. It was hit with great power and timing, so he even had he got a hand to it. Not sure it would have stuck, but it's a bit closer to the fielder than we've seen before from Root. It's absolutely deliberate. He moves to 87, 307 for 3. I heard Anil Dimor Bartat playing earlier.
Yes,
were you singing along as a former Yorkshireman?
I was kind of in my mind just singing along to it.
Yeah.
It's a song, that's a good song. Right?
Oh, it's a great song, yeah. Siraj into Root, works it into the onside, into space. He should get a couple for this, I think. Bairstow's a very quick runner, and Root had identified 2 early on, and they do get back for 2. He moves to 89. 309 for 3, the lead 231.
Yeah, you're right. Bairstow's rapid between the stumps, and if he starts to get his kind of rhythm of play with the striking, you feel that this could be a very tough 2 hours and 10 minutes for India. If it hasn't been tough enough already, towards the end of a day when you're tired and you've got someone like Bairstow coming out there, it's going to be very difficult.
Siraj in, and forward comes Root, plays it to a backward point along the ground off the front foot. There's no run. That's the danger, isn't it? I say danger. There's 231 runs behind, but it can start to feel like quite a long 2 hours. They could really do with a couple of wickets here.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for the Indians from here, Dan.
No. Have you ever been in a position where...
Yeah. Quite a few times, I reckon.
So early on in the game? Because I guess that's what's so
not
startling about it. Siraj is in, forward comes Root, defends back to the bowler, no run. Because, from the moment they've bowled out for 78...
Oh, I reckon I have. Actually, in Australia 2002, the Brisbane first Test match, when Nasser decided to bowl first and Hayden and Cody's came out and launched it. And that last session, they just ran this racket.
It's horrible, is it?
Just get off.
Yeah.
Let's just get off.
I suppose you can still believe you can bat your way back into the game, can you? As Siraj is in, it's driven by Root up to wide mid-off along the ground. There's no run. At least I suppose you think, well, once they got 600, maybe we can get 450.
Well, yeah, maybe we didn't believe we could get 450, we'll get 250. But at least when you're batting, it's just you, isn't it? And you kind of have your own peace, and you don't have to go out there and cop a load from the fans and chase the ball and drop the ball like I do, I think, a couple of times.
Root drives firmly, beautifully past the outstretched hand of Siraj. He may have got a bit of a fingernail on that. He's just slowing down a touch, but it's still going to make it to the mid-off boundary, the long-off boundary, really. And with that, Root moves into the 90s, up to 93. It was a glorious drive, full and on around off stump. Just driven into the ground perfectly safely.
I like that section at the far end of the stand. They have Root in letters, so they've got the R, and there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 zeros, and then there's a T at the end. Right at the end of the stand, you can see they're maroon coloured kind of things.
Eyesight's
That's
brilliant.
what it says, Root. It's only because I've just seen it on the telly.
Oh, right, okay. You're doing the old Henry Blofeld trick, aren't you? Yeah. 93 Root is on. Bairstow has 2, 313 for 3. Root once more looks in the mood.
Well, Henry always managed to find, even when the new stands were built here at Headingley, he used to always be able to see buses.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, where are they?
Well, he told me the secret to that. I'm not sure I should say it publicly. But I might.
Go on.
I said to him once, I think it was at the Edgbaston Test of 2016, when he'd spotted something almost impossible. He'd spotted a man in cerise trousers playing with his grandson with a Diavolo. So Bairstow drives into the offside and there's no run. It was such an involved description. And there's somebody kept saying, Henry, how on earth do you see these things in the crowd? Pick these things out. They're miles away, And so Jadeja is in. And Bairstow drives for 4. Lovely shot. An on drive to the left of mid-on, all along the ground. This is going to be very worrying now for India. 317 for 3. And Bairstow's looking in good nick. Root, we know, is in terrific nick. This is looking punishing. So, yes, I said to him, how do you spot it? He said, there was no man in cerise trousers. I just wanted Swanee to shut up. If he felt his summariser was speaking a bit too much, he came in with...
Maybe that's when he did it to me with the buses there.
Jadeja in. It's driven by Bairstow for 4 more. Square of the wicket on the offside this time. Doesn't matter where Jadeja's bowling, and if it's full enough, Bairstow, he feels he's got licence, and the sailors in the crowd signal for 321 for 3, a sumptuous shot.
Well, he bowls so quickly, Jadeja. I think he's bowling too quickly. He's bowling 60 miles an hour. So Johnny Bairstow doesn't really have to do a lot with that full of length. It's just keeping your shape and just using the pace of Jadeja. And it went right across the square, and the square goes all the way along the ground here. So you hit the square, it pretty much, you're not stopping it as a fielding team. Cover point on the boundary.
Yeah, sweeper out there now. Jadeja in, and forward comes Bairstow. He's hit his couple of boundaries, pushes into the offside, and they run. He's got the double figures with those twos up to 10. 321 for 3. 3 sort of in a ring on the onside. A slip is in and a silly point, so there are still catchers there trying to prize Bairstow out. Bairstow just comes forward and defends back up the wicket to the bowler.
I'm surprised he hasn't bowled a few balls over the wicket to the right-hander, just to try and aim into that rough that we can see outside the leg stump for the right-hander, the off stump to the left-hander.
Bairstow drives again firmly straight back along the ground to Jadeja. End of the over, a couple of boundaries in that over. 321 for 3, Root 93, Bairstow on 10. Root has hit 5 centuries this calendar year, is that correct, Andy? 5 centuries and 1 further score above 50. Yes. You've got to be very precise with Andy. If you don't get that right, you get a good ticking off afterwards.
I mean, it's always in the here and now that you kind of look at someone like Joe Root in particular and go, he's playing so well, but there can't be that many that have played as well as this consistently for so long in an England jersey. And it seems to have just gone on, well, it has gone on for the whole year, where he's just been that even on a week that the other players are playing nicely at the top of the order, Milan at 3, he's still gone ahead of them.
Well, he had a little bit of a rough patch, didn't he, in the last 3 tests in India, where everyone did, because the pitches turned extravagantly. Akshay Patel was, especially the pink ball test. But either side of that, I think Andy might have something on that.
Well, on England batsmen who've had a run such as Root is having now, he's had 11 tests this year, now scored 1,370 runs, an average of 72.
Start of a new over. Ishant Sharma is going to bowl it, and he's coming into Root. Root covers up in defence, pushes into the offsides, fielded in the covers, there's no run.
In terms of best 11 test sequences by England batsmen, which is admittedly a bit of a niche stat, only 4 England players have ever scored more in an 11 test sequence. Ken Barrington,
Yes.
Wally Hammond, Dennis Compton and Graham Gooch.
Wally Hammond sort of in 28-9, around that area, was it? He's got about 900 runs out in Australia, didn't he?
Yes.
Back then, in 5 tests. Sharma in, and Root just dabs into the offside and picks up a single. Moves to 94, just pushes it back to the square on the offside. I guess, what's the great weapon in his armoury, Michael, is that he never does get becalmed. We saw Hasib Hamid actually sort of get a bit becalmed this morning, but can always find a gap, just sort of
well, you can't keep
back.
him. Yeah, you can't keep him quiet. I guess India could have bowled full and tried to make him hit down the ground, but you drop your length by a yard and he'll drop it kind of square of the wicket on the offside, on the onside, and get off strike.
Must tear your hair out as a captain, though, because what's the plan?
Well, you've just got to hope that you get some movement out of the surface and bowl on that 4-stump line and snick him off at the minute, or get one to nip back and he plays across it.
Because he was getting LBW a bit, wasn't he? Especially last year. Bairstow now on strike, and he gets a bouncer which he evades very comfortably. It's a 1 for the over, signalled by the umpire through to punt.
No, of all the runs that he scored this year, this has been an innings where, in terms of the ball doing something, it's probably done less here than it has done in previous games. But you look back to all the other times, spinning Sri Lanka, spinning in India, seam movement, pretty much in all the other games, swing at Trent Bridge. He's just found that rhythm and that kind of technical side that has made him in his own self feel so simple at the crease.
Here comes Sharma, and Bairstow slashes at this, cuts it out towards the boundary. It's been pursued, it will not be cut off. 4 more. The Yorkshire crowd are loving this. Root and Bairstow together. 326 for 3. Bairstow hit a couple of 4s in Jadeja's last over. Now he's latched onto that. It's too short, too wide, loose.
They're actually not bananas.
Are they not bananas?
No, they're ducks. I've just seen them for the first time. I've been calling them bananas all day. They're not. They're ducks.
I assumed they were bananas from this distance. That was a poor ball by Sharma, but that can happen towards the end of the day. There's plenty of time to go, but he's second over.
He's just not had any rhythm here throughout the whole game. He's just not found that oomph, that little bit of zip that he needs off the surface.
He's in again, and Bairstow slashes again, and it will be cut off on this occasion by a man at deep backward point. So just one more to Bairstow. Goes to 15, 327 for 3. The lead 249.
Yeah, I think with Joe Root and his technique, this little simple trigger movement that he has, staying nice and side on, I think his hips are very important to the way that he plays. And whatever the work he's done over the last few months, he's found that kind of simplicity of technique. So when he goes out to bat, I just think he knows pretty much straight away that he's got his rhythm, he's got his tempo.
Yes, it's almost like he's in when he comes out to bat.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Sharma's into him. And he works us into the onside, and they'll get through for a single. As he works it to the left of mid-wicket, the right of mid-on. Means he keeps the strike on 95, 328 for 3 at the end of the 102nd over. England rampant, dominant, and the lead moves to 250. 7 wickets in hand. It's quite insane. 7 first innings wickets in hand.
He's got a big job on Rishabh Pant. He's got 2 helmets he has to carry. And they've got just the one fielder around the bat.
Yes, well, I mean, the field to...
Doesn't look like they're going to have any fielders around the bat, so he's got that job of just carrying the helmets in between the overs. It's
no picnic, is it?
No. Don't forget the helmet. He used to always say at cover point, when get the helmet, youngster. Now so you go and get the helmet.
Did Mike Brearley, is it apocryphal or true that Mike Brearley, once against a side that were not showing a great deal of invention, looked like they were playing for a draw, placed a bunch of helmets at extra cover to encourage the drive?
It's brilliant if it's true. I'm not too sure if it is true, but it's brilliant.
Root on strike on 95. Jadeja is into him. He sweeps, misses, and it thuds into Punt's pads as he moves to his left.
I think he's thinking about dancing down and whacking a 6.
Well, there is no long on, no long off. There's a mid-on, mid-off, short mid-wicket on the 45.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he just keeps playing.
He's driven this into the offside, and it's fielded at extra cover by Virat Kohli, who's in quite close there, saving one. There's a sweeper out on the cover boundary, and a man out at deep back the square. Are those any boundary riders? Jadeja is in. There's a little inside edge on this as Root props forward and picks up a single. Ishant Sharma has to come from short fine leg to field. Goes to 96, 329 for 3. Bairstow has 15. Michael has left us. Deep Dasgupta has joined us. And, well, I just don't know what to say. I've no idea what Virat Kohli can do in this situation at the moment, except wait and hope.
True. And I think all they can do as the Indian bowlers as well is not look at that scoreboard. I think that's essential for them. Not worry about anything else, just look at the processes.
Jadeja into Bairstow, comes forward in defence, pushes to Kohli at short extra cover. There's no run. I mean, they must take some solace from the fact that the pitch is holding up perfectly well when they come out to bat. They're not going to get rolled for 78 again. Jadeja in, Bairstow just tucks us into the onside, but straight to short mid-wicket, and there'll be no run.
And also something that I'm sure they'll be talking about in the dressing room as well. They might be really way behind at this test match, but not in the series. So they can't let this performance so far in day 1 and day 2 affect their performances in the future in the series.
Jadeja in, driven straight back to him by Bairstow, into the ground. Slightly fumbles it, but there's no run from it. End of the over, just the one from it. 329 for 3. Route 96. Just a boundary 4 away from another 100. Bairstow has 15.
That was an attempted run out, actually, from Jadeja.
Yeah, just to be clear, it's hit back at him firmly by Bairstow into the ground. And, it was an attempted run out. It absolutely was. So he took the ball and then just passed it through his legs in the hope that maybe Root wasn't looking.
Yeah, maybe
Root goes back.
Yeah, Maybe that's the only way to get Root out, I guess.
It's a clever idea. It's a clever idea. Yeah, could have happened. Root would have been furious at that.
Yeah, nothing much has worked as far as trying to get Joe Root out is concerned.
He's not really given a chance, or look like giving a chance. Right, so it's a slip and a fourth slip and a deep backward point. Root on 96, Sharma comes in to bowl to him. And Root just defends. Back to the bowler, along the ground. Sharma tosses the ball away for it to be polished. It's only 23 overs old. It's a nice firm ball, but it's done nothing really since the new ball was taken.
I think that's one of the reasons why the Indian batters would be extremely disappointed with the performance. All they had to do was see through that first hour and a half, maybe the first session on day one, and now they're looking at this pitch and they'll be like, oh geez, this is such a great surface to bat on.
It's looking impeccable. It's looking like many a Headingley surface as a match progresses, actually. First day, not so much. Sharma is in to Root, and Root whips this away through mid-wicket. It's running away towards the boundary. It's being pursued. Is it going to get all the way there? It does! And that is another magnificent 100 from Root. He gives a jump and a skip for joy. The Yorkshire crowd are up out of their seats. Bat raised, helmet off. His 600 of this calendar year. Yet another 100 in this series. His third in 3 test matches. He's hugged and embraced by Johnny Bairstow. Claps his bat. And he's turning to all parts of the ground as well he might. This incredible vein of form is just going on and on for Joe Root. He doesn't want it to end. I'm not sure actually that this ovation is going to end for a while, because everybody around the ground is up saluting the local boy.
He's been unstoppable right through this year. Started off with Sri Lanka, then back in India, got a double 100 in the very first test match, and here another test match, another 100 for Joe Root. It's been absolutely magnificent. Complete control of this innings. I don't remember him playing any false shot at all right through this innings.
It's been another... We said at Trent Bridge that felt like the perfect 100. We then said at Lords, if anything, that's even better. And then here, it's a different kind of 100. He's facing up to Sharma now. The crowd are quietening down, and he smacked this away off the back foot down to backward point, really deep backward point for another run. He goes to 101, England 334 for 3. But this innings, I mean, you might say that circumstances have been easier for England and for him, and maybe the pitch has eased a little bit. But when he came in, England had scored no runs this morning. They'd scored 39 runs in 21 overs. And since he's come in, they've gone at over 4 and over, I think. And he'll be able to confirm this for us. I mean, he scored that 100 off 125 balls. He himself is going at nearly 5 and over. He scored immediately he came in, scored runs of his first 2-3 balls. He's looked in complete control. It's an epic summer for Root. And Bairstow faces up and pushes a full ball into the gully region. There's no run.
So this 100 also tells you about his ruthlessness now in his batting and his approach towards batting. I mean, as you mentioned, I mean, these conditions comparatively a lot easier with the kind of start that England got and the batting conditions. But then it could have been very easy for him to say, you know what, I really don't have to focus that much. But again, the ruthlessness that we are talking about, he just wants to go on, keep scoring runs. He doesn't want this summer to end or this year to end, does he?
He certainly doesn't. As that is, I think it's his 23rd Test 100. I'll explain the significance of that in a moment. As Sharma is into Bairstow, clips this away out through long leg for a single. Siraj does the fielding. There is not 2 there. I think that make him level with Peterson and second in England's all-time list behind Alistair Cook, who's still a way to go. Most centuries for England in the calendar year. Michael Vaughan.
It's Michael Vaughan in 2002, Dennis Compton in 1947, and now Root in 2021.
Already in August. There's 2 more test matches this series and potentially 3 matches in the Ashes on some pretty good wickets. Right, another sensational innings from Root, really. As Sharma is in to him, and he lets this delivery go by into the keeper's gloves. End of the over. 335 for 3 England. They lead by 257. Root 101. Bairstow has 16. More from deep, and then it's going to be Ishiguma.
I'll give you the stats on Root's 100 came from his 124th ball with his 12th for, as Dan said, his 23rd in Test cricket, putting him joint second on the all-time England list with Kevin Peterson. Alistair Cook clear by 10 hundreds with 33. It's his 8th against India, which is now the joint most any player has made against India in Test cricket, an illustrious list. He joins Ricky Ponting, Viv Richards, Garfield Sobers and Steve Smith, the other players with 800s against India. More stats to follow this ball from Jadeja.
Jadeja is in and bowls to Bairstow, looking to work it to mid-wicket. No run.
That's his third 100 in consecutive matches. It's his second run of 3 matches with centuries this year, after beginning the year with 3 and 3.
As Bairstow defends.
He'd never had 100s in consecutive tests before, so 2 runs of 300s in 3 matches. It's his third fastest of his 23 centuries at 124 balls.
Keep him coming, Andy, as Jadeja is through his action. Bairstow on the back foot, cutting to backward point. No run.
He's converted 6 of his 750-plus scores this year into hundreds, having only converted 1 of his previous 9 and 6 of his previous 32. And it's his 5th first innings 100 this year, having made only 1 in his previous 39 tests.
Jadeja through. Bairstow tucking this out to deep back square. There was no one there, so mid-wicket will run around to fetch the ball for a single. As Bairstow moves to 17, 336 for 3, lead of 258. Root on 101 as he sets up once more. Any more, Andy?
Here endeth the stats.
So disappointing. As Jadeja comes in, Root drives, beats extra cover to mid-off. Siraj coming around to his left, no run. But just stuck out a deep square for Root. It has been just phenomenal for the England captain as Jadeja is through. Root drives to mid-off, no run. When you think of all the talk of at the end of the over, the big 4 or the big 3 in Kane Williamson, Virat Kohli, Joe Root, Steve Smith, you almost felt like he kind of dropped out of that club in the last couple of years, but there's no denying his ability, Joe. It's just that ruthless mentality to move on and kick on from those 50s to the 3 figures, averaging 70 this year. And I think it was becoming quite annoying for him, actually, getting 50 all the time. I mean, he has more 50s than anyone else in world cricket at the moment in Test cricket. 50 50s, in fact. So to be able to perform like he has this year, it's been truly astonishing, with all the pressure of the captaincy as well, as Bairstow looks to cut, beats the bat as it goes through to Rishabh Pant off the bowling of Ishant Sharma from the rugby stand end.
Isha, what is also very impressive about him is the runs that he scored in Sri Lanka and India. I mean, those surfaces in India were very, very challenging, and a different kind of challenge, on those turners. And again, even there, he looked very, very comfortable. The double 100 that he got in Chennai first test was absolutely brilliant. Again, Sri Lankan surfaces can be a turner, and was actually turner. Was very comfortable there, and obviously here. So, I mean, a complete batsman, so to say.
Yeah, an incredible moment for him. His second Test match century here at Headingley in front of his Yorkshire crowd, who are loving this Yorkshire duo out in the middle at the moment. Bairstow sets up, bat high, as he crouches and defends the ball back to mid-off. Good length ball from Ishant Sharma. And this morning we had Joe on interview saying hopefully we can put on a good performance in Ted Dexter's memory after the sad news of his passing overnight. Well, that's a century that Ted would be very proud of.
Yeah, that was an entertaining 100 from Joe Root. I mean, even as an opposition, you would have to sit back and say, you know what, that was a great innings.
It was a nice tribute from Joe, and you can catch the highlights tonight, BBC 4, 7 o'clock, as Bairstow looks to pull a short ball, but it doesn't get it, and hits the ground and heads towards Ajinkya Rahane at mid-wicket, no run. So the crowd has just settled down again after the excitement of the 100, a lead of 258. Batting India into submission at the moment, deep, 336 for 3.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's worked for India. Absolutely nothing.
A lot of tired bodies out there. You just sense in their body language, thinking about what they could potentially do to get a breakthrough here as Ishant Sharma comes steaming in, and it's met with a solid defence from Johnny Bairstow back down the pitch. A man that's trying to prove himself again, being reintroduced into this test lineup. But you just get the feel and the sense from Joe and the rest of the group. Great to have that experience back.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we were talking about David Milan. I think someone like David Milan or Moeen Ali, what they bring to the table is not just experience, but also the amount of runs that they've scored. Yeah, it could be white ball format, but that confidence, and they aren't carrying too many baggages, so to say.
Sharma moves in. Bairstow tucks it to mid-wicket, no run off the front foot.
And talking about, you're talking about tired bodies. It's the mental tiredness, isn't it? I mean, just being on the field, having not scored enough runs, just managed 78 in the first innings, and then being out there for 105. This is the 106th over, and you're way behind, 258. And this is the time when a lot of the players, they get into their own bubbles, and you can see that happening right now. Everyone's kind of in their own bubble, thinking about their performance, whenever they get to bat or whenever they get to bowl.
Virat Kohli chatting away to Rishabh Pant at first slip as Sharma bowls. Bairstow clips out to deep square off the front foot, slightly fuller, aimed at middle and leg as he comes through for one. 337 for three, lead of 259. Bairstow to 18 at the end of the over. The second new ball did not work for India, and so these two just finding their way again. Most hundreds for England in test matches. Joe Root equal with Kevin Peterson in 4 more matches with an average of 50. Best of that 254. Another 10 and he will be equal with Alistair Cook, who did it in 161 matches, those 33 centuries.
There's 5 tests this year, 100 in each innings. Could have it done by New Year.
Bring on the Ashes. As he's just swigging a drink at the moment, Ollie Pope, with his high-vis vest on, just running out some drinks for the England captain.
And I was about to say wishful thinking, but the way Joe Root is batting might not be actually. You think about 2 test matches here in this series, and generally, the pitches in Australia are quite batting friendly if you survive the first few overs with that Kookaburra ball. Yeah, I mean, it's quite possible. Another 5 at least. 5 test matches.
Best one strike to Jadeja. Launches him up and over mid-on. He's decided to go, Johnny Bairstow. Here we go. It's Johnny time here at Headingley. He picks up a 6 as he moves to 24. Just lent on it. Wow. We know how good he is against spin, and you just got the sense that he wanted to take Jadeja down with all that limited overs cricket he's been playing. It was just a gentle chip, but it's gone all the way. The Western Terrace on their feet. 343 for 3. As this time he just gets back into his crease, works it backward of square. The fine leg running around. Ishant Sharma gets the ball and throws it in before they can come back for 2. So Bairstow to 25, 344 for 3. Lead extends now to 266.
Weird situation for the Indians, isn't it? You can't even look forward to a declaration right now because they're like 2.5 days to go. At least 2 more days to go after this.
Root forward and pushing the ball to the offside.
It's only day 2 if you think about it.
Yeah, there's a feeling of resignation at the moment.
Yeah. It's one of those really, really tough days.
Root drives square out to deep cover. Comes forwards and plays it beautifully with those wrists. Comes through to 102 now, the England captain, 345 for 3, lead of 267. Wherever you are, this Thursday afternoon into evening, I hope you've enjoyed listening, because it truly has been Another wonderful knock from the England captain. The man in catching straight as Bairstow leans forwards this time, smothers the ball to the offside. The bowling of Jadeja slightly quicker on that occasion, 62 miles an hour. And the left arm spinner. The bearded Jadeja in once more, bowls down the leg side. Bairstow turns it past a diving Ishant Sharma down to the fine leg boundary. Diving to his right. It was almost a belly flop onto the floor as he gets it past him. Moves to 29, Johnny Bairstow, 349 for 3, lead of 271. This partnership has gone past 50, 51 to the Yorkshire duo of Bairstow and Root.
It's a wonderful shot, wasn't it? But again, fired in, really, really quick one. That one from Jadeja, down leg side, a tough shot. It looks like a different batter, isn't it, Johnny Bairstow, when he's attacking?
There's a real appreciation there between those two. I think they're enjoying being here at Headingley. Shake of the hands. They haven't played here in a test match together in a long time. 22 of 36 for Root, 29 of 42 for Bairstow. And now you just get the feeling, Root going past 100, Bairstow 29. How many overs old is it? As Mohammad Shami is going to bowl and met with a drive straight from Root. The bowler takes the ball. He's got a smile on his face, Joe Root. How many overs of this second new ball, Andy?
This is the 28th.
Yeah, you just get the feeling, don't you, that England are going to start to up the rate even more. They were going along at 4s out the blocks after the tea interval.
Yeah, this is going to be a long test match for the Indians. There's no two ways about it. We've got 3 more days to go after this, only day 2. They can bat as long as they want. So there's no hurry, so to say.
Shami sprints in, guided down to third man, a short ball from Shami outside the off stump. Root flicks it up in the air, a sort of uppercut down to that wide third. Jasprit Bumrah down there for a single. Comes through, and England have 350 on the board for 3. Lead of 272, Root to 103.
You know, Isha, what this will do, or this might do, is also kind of get the Indian bowlers tired for the next test match. We only got 3 scheduled days of break. It can go up the way things are going right now, but as of now, there are 3 scheduled days. And if these Indian fast bowlers end up bowling 30 overs...
Bairstow edges and taken. Virat Kohli low to his left. It's Mohammad Shami with the breakthrough. And a smile on the face of the Indian captain. A bit of relief in what has been a tough day for the tourists. Bairstow to depart then for 29. That ends a good partnership between Bairstow and Root. And a good catch when you feel like nothing's happening for you. He was alert to it as he receives an applause. Bairstow leaving the field here at Headingley. 350 for 4 then, England, and a lead of 272.
Yeah, the only way the Indian bowlers don't have to bowl those 30-odd overs in this innings would be to pick up wickets. There was a really, really good delivery again from Mohammad Shami, getting that length right. Forcing Bairstow to get onto the front foot, that channel just outside off stump. And as you mentioned, a good catch to his left. It's a good catch also because Rishabh Pant had dived in front of Virat. Had a go at that catch. But then, yeah, I mean, India, as far as Indian bowlers are concerned, they need to pick those wickets. The 6 of them really, really early. This could be a really long innings, bowling innings for them. Annie, how many overs have they bowled already in terms of individual?
This is Shami's 23rd. Ishant's bowled 20. Bumrah 23, none for 42. Siraj 20, Jadeja 22.
Well, here comes Jos Buttler. He's now with the England captain in the middle. And we look at Butler's scores this series. A duck off 18 deliveries. He faced 17 off 22. Then at the Lord's Test, 23 off 42. The 25 off 96. He was trying to hold it for England and be determined to get through to the end of play. But he wasn't able to do so. So here he is now at Headingley, just scratching away at his guard before pushing backwards, crouching down and giving his hamstrings a good stretch. And now the Brains Trust. Virat Kohli with Rohit Sharma. Rishabh Pant has come in to have a word as well. Short leg in position in Pujara under the lid. Siraj down on the 5-leg boundary. There's a mid-wicket, mid-off point. And a gully is Shami bowls to Buttler, who calmly defends the ball back down the pitch.
Buttler, Bairstow 29 from 43 balls with a 6 and 4 fours. The partnership 52 in 13 and a half overs. For Johnny Bairstow, it's the 6th time this year that he's been out for 28, 29 or 30.
Oh.
And only 3 times has he got past that. So, nervous late 20s.
It happens. Buttler, bat stump high, back and across, pushes the ball to the offside. Joe Root sets off, but then stops himself from coming through as it heads towards Ishant Sharma at mid-off.
They got a short leg in there, but the last couple of deliveries that his ball hasn't been the right length again, been on the shorter side, allowing Joss Buttler to play off the back foot. And the reason that you have that short leg is you want him to come on the front foot there for the bat pad.
Shami in, Buttler straight into Cheteshwar Pujara. And that didn't hit the ground, did it?
No.
No, he just worked it straight into him and it bounced off him onto the floor. That came at real pace. That was one of those that it sticks or it doesn't.
Yeah, he middled it. Josh Buttler middled it. Straight to Pujara. But then I'd say Pujara saved a boundary there. It's a beautiful shot, but straight to his shin pads. No chance of a catch, no chance at all.
Well, maybe if it had gone straight into his hands. That was the only way. Otherwise, no.
Yeah, one of been the best catches that I've ever seen.
So Root back on strike as Jadeja comes in from the coastal lane end. Just neatly tucks it around the corners to find leg, no run. Well, it's been another dominant day for England here. Joe Root, though, there's a real ruthlessness about him today. He wants to keep that pain continuing, a lead of 272. Forward presses and covers the ball to mid-wicket, no run. Slightly straighter on that occasion from Jadeja. Are we having a double change, are we, Deep, after this over?
I guess, yeah.
Okay, there's Root on the back foot, working it out to deep square for a single. Moves to 104, 351 for England, lead of 273. Well, coming in my place, we had a special presentation to her to mark her time as chair of the Cricket Writers Club. George DeBell will be taking over from her, and there's a lovely image on the Test Match Special Twitter feed of Alison Mitchell receiving her award. Woman on Fire is what's emblazoned. As Buttler is deep into his crease, defended to the offside. She's a huge inspiration to everyone around her. And Deep, you'll be parting us for Vic Marks, who'll be coming in as Buttler on the back foot, working it leg side, no run.
Jadeja again has only picked 1 wicket so far on this tour, which includes the World Test Championship.
Buttler off the mark, tucking the ball away to the leg side, just in front of square mid-wicket.
Sorry,
running around
correction.
to his right, and he'll pick up the single. Buttler to 1, 352 for 4, lead of 274. Maybe you can give us your correction, then Alison Mitchell will come in, and then it will be Vic Marks.
Yeah, the correction is 2 wickets. Right, so far this tour of England World Test Championship finals included. Well, I guess a few things for the team management and Jadeja to think about. He's done really well with the bat, but then he's there as an all-rounder, so it's his job not just to get runs and with the bat, but also pick up a few wickets and do his job with the ball. As I pass the mic on to Ali.
Thank you, Deep. Victor is coming
Victor.
in.
Right.
We've negotiated that. Well done, everybody. 352 for 4 then. What a day, what an afternoon it's continuing to be for England. As Buttler, new to the crease, on 1, facing up to Shami, 2 slips in the gullies. He's in, forward, dropping into the offside. He's eager to get another one here. Buttler gets down to the far end. Root responding, as he has done with quick singles throughout his innings. Has been peppered with some good running between the wickets, largely in partnership with David Malan earlier on. And England's leads 275. So Bairstow, the last man out. Kohli taking the catch low at slip off Shami for 29. Shami's second wicket after he removed Rory Burns' first wicket of the day. Good afternoon, Vic.
It's suddenly got really warm in here, hasn't it?
Well, I don't know about being on fire. No, a bit worried someone's going to reach for an extinguisher or some water to douse me. Shami is in full, back up the pitch and into the hands of the bowler.
Well, it's a lovely portrait.
I have to say, as portraits go, I do think it is actually a good likeness.
Yeah, well,
Thanks
you
to
should know.
Paulette Farrell. Well, it must be quite nerve-wracking being a portrait artist, because you never really know how the person's going to respond.
So you're happy.
It was favourable.
Are we happy, Alison?
I am happy. I think when the presentation was made, I was a little bit taken aback. It was completely unexpected. So if I was a little bit quiet, it was out of surprise. Past the bat of Joe Root that time. He hasn't played really many false shots in the innings. He was looking to run that down, play it very late, and didn't make contact.
Yeah, well, that is a rarity because he has played beautifully. He's never really been kept quiet. There have been moments where he's only progressed in singles, but it's, by anyone's standards, he's got it his 100 effortlessly, really, off not that many deliveries. What a day for him.
Yeah, and leading the team from the front yet again, with greater support this time. Full Shami is, and Root forward to the offside, and no run. Yeah, Malan with his 70, before that Hamid 68 and Burns 61, and the opening stand of 135. So, just a tremendous day for England with the bat after complete mayhem with the ball yesterday.
Yeah, it's so far, it couldn't have gone better. But Headingley does surprise us now and again. I don't quite know what we've got in store, but there'll be something peculiar happening. It's Headingley.
Shami rushes in now to Root, forward once more, and he defends out to cover. It's fielded and there's no run. You can never, despite a lead of 275, will England fans be feeling completely comfortable? I think they won't until England have put India back in, or it's India's turn to bat again and are a couple down.
And I think they'll want to keep batting. I mean, the pitch is behaving so well that they wanted to start to deteriorate.
Well, it's bat once and bat big, and they're on course for that still, with 6 wickets in hand. And go bigger yet. In comes Shami, over the wicket. Root is forward. It's well over the ball again in defence. Fullish length delivery on middle and off to mid-off, and no run to end the over from Shami. The new ball came, the new ball went for India.
Yes.
That didn't do much damage, did it?
No, and if anything, it increased the run rate. As often happens, actually, that hard ball zips off the bat. And it didn't really move around a great deal. It didn't swing much. And England, partly because of the personnel at the crease as well, accelerated. And now they're chugging along. The scoreboard tells me 3.2 in over. Well, for a long time, England were going at 2.5, 2.6. India obviously scored extremely slowly in there. They faced 40 overs for their 78. But the tempo has changed. Bairstow wasn't there long, but he was busy. Malan pretty good too.
Jadeja it is around the wickets, and has Buttler coming forward in defence. Brings the ball out towards the backward point region, and no run. Buttler 2 from 8. He's got a big opportunity. He's got the licence with the match situation here, hasn't he? He uses his feet to get to the pitch, and then rather changes his mode to be defensive. Runs up to Siraj at mid-off.
But he could do with some runs, actually. He's got about 320s in the series so far, but he hasn't played with any freedom yet.
Came off or the leading edge. He's looking to work it into the onside. He works this one around the corner to short fine leg. Throw comes back in, and Roots come through for the single. And Butler's on to 354 for 4. Lead 278. Joss Buttler duck in the first innings at Trent Bridge, then 17, and then innings of 23 and 25 at Lords. But Root's been the absolute standout. It's an incredible year as Jadeja is into him, and he's forward. Just no mistake, and he's very happy to press forward with bat and pad close together and continue to keep out good balls and score when he has the opportunity. Keep rotating the strike when he can as well. A little more force in this shot, up to mid-off, but straight to Siraj, and there is no run. Must mention something as well, Vic. Following on from the tea interval, as we had a chat with Dr. Giles Toogood, who's a surgeon at St James's Hospital here in Leeds. We were talking about the British transplant games as Jadeja is in now to Root. He goes back with a flick of the wrists, takes a single through mid-wicket. It's left to the man in the deep to pick up. And it's the end of the over from Jadeja, the lead 277, 355 for 4. And I want to mention there is an England representative side for transplant recipients. Now, the British transplant games are happening here in Leeds next year, and there is a version of cricket being played, hence why we were talking about it. But if there are any specific cricket fans and keen cricketers who have had transplants and want to actually get involved and play some cricket, there is an England representative side, and you can find them on Twitter. They're at eTransplantC, which would be England Transplant Cricket. So eTransplantC. And it does say on their handle that you can DM them to get involved. And we had a big chat about it going back a couple of years now on the BBC Stumps podcast, where we explored a little bit more about the team and those playing. So do have a look at that. Anybody listening who wants to get involved. Shami over the wicket now. Forward comes Buttler. Root rather angling this behind square into the deep and taking another one. Andy?
Mentioning the run rate through England's innings, 3.2 over the course of the whole innings. When Hamid was out, it was 159 for 2 after 63. They'd gone up fractionally over 2.5 and over at that point. Since then, now 195 more runs of 48.1 overs, just over 4 and over.
Yeah, it really picked up after lunch, didn't it?
Well,
and then onwards.
That's right. Root started very smoothly. Hamid had been in a bit of a rut, actually, hadn't he?
2 slips in the gully for Buttler, and he's half steered. I think it was half steered between second slip and gully, but I think that's possibly giving him the benefit of the doubt. It wasn't the most certain of strokes, but he's got 4 down through deep third, and a little shake of the head from Shami as he walks back to his mark.
Yeah, I don't think Shami thought it was entirely intentional. Fullish length ball. But he did open the face a little bit. If Root had played it, we might have said that's a shot of genius. We're not sure, though Buttler can touch genius now and again, but he did open the face. It did go along the ground anyway. It wasn't at catchable height, and he's got 4.
There's a very small gap. If you're aiming to thread it through there, you're taking a bit of a risk. On middle and leg, turn to mid-wicket. Oh, he's got a catch. Yeah. Taken low down and held by Ishant Sharma. And it is the end of Joss Buttler. So a brief innings. He's gone for just 7, and Buttler remains in a bit of a rut. As England are 360 for 5 now, the lead 282.
Yeah, well, he can't get going. He middled that. It was an innocuous delivery on his legs. He didn't really get over the top of it, though. He flicked it off the meat of the bat with no great power, and it went straight to square leg, who caught it. So Joss Buttler goes for just 7. He's struggled to get going. He just needs a long innings somewhere. He's kept well in this match, but still no runs. And you thought today it was kind of set up for him, but then he's still got to do it. And he's not been in rhythm, and he's not been in an attacking rhythm, actually. He's played quite a lot of long test match style innings, very responsible ones where he's trying to dig England out of a hole or to survive for a draw, and he hasn't really got going. And this, as I say, the situation was set up for him here, but he couldn't get going. Out comes Moeen. There's a slightly disturbing sight of his captain on the ground doing some stretching exercises. He does have a few back issues now and again, Joe Root, and he's taxing that back because he keeps batting for hours on end.
I was going to say, he's been out there for a long time for this innings as well, hasn't he? So he's doing some vigorous stretches. It's drinks. He's sort of lying sideways on, isn't he? With almost in a recovery style position, with one leg raised higher, bent and raised high, with the other outstretched beneath him, and now his the top arm, he's swinging it from side to side, just opening up those shoulder blades.
That's right.
In a scissors-like motion.
Yeah, I mean, we've been making... The parallels are not close, but we've been talking about Ted Dexter a lot today, and Joe Root has a few similarities in that, well, he's a majestic player and slightly different mode, but I don't think we ever saw Ted Dexter on the ground at a drinks interval doing some vigorous stretching exercises.
Well, he knows his body, Joe Root.
Yeah. Well, it's absolutely vital that he can look after it as well. I mean, there's been all sorts of talk, and there'll be some resolution too about what England do with their T20 side. They've got to pick their World Cup side quite soon. And of course, there's a strong case for Root to be in it because he's such a good player, and they're playing in Dubai where there'll be quite a lot of spin, and he's such a good player of spin. But you can also, when you look out there now, you see his contribution, think, well, they've got to somehow monitor how much he plays. He's so vital to the Test team. He obviously gets in the best 50 over side. And actually, if you talk... If you think, what is our best T20 squad? He gets in my best T20 squad. Partly because he bowls quite well too.
Well, yeah, it's an asset, isn't it? And one thing about Root is, I suppose, in terms of workload, he doesn't play franchise cricket. He doesn't play T20 leagues around the world. You think of those who are trying to shoehorn in the IPL. And I mean, just thinking, Joss Buttler was rested from the New Zealand series, for example. So again, just that lack of red ball cricket and test match intensity. I mean, it's batting for long periods.
Such a difficult balancing act, isn't it?
But then we'll see Moeen, who has bounced from the 100 into the Test team, back to the 100 for the final, and now back into the Test team. And I asked him about it on the outfield at the end of the final of the 100, and he talked about the mentality of it. He said it is just all a mental approach of being able to, I guess, in a way, calm your mind and settle in and switch between modes in that way.
I mean, it's always been without sounding like an old... Well, no, I will sound like an old man, but 30 years ago, you were playing a championship match on Saturday. You were skipping up the motorway, playing in a 40-over match on Sunday, and you might be not out overnight on Saturday, and then you go back on Monday morning and resume your innings in a red ball style. So cricketers of all generations have had to be able to adjust, but it seems starker at the moment. Anyway, Moeen is out there.
Yep. And he'll be facing up.
Yeah.
Floodlights have just started to come on here as well, Vic.
Yeah,
just a little bit gloomier.
It is, but I don't think it should curtail play.
No, it doesn't feel like it, does it? There's still some pockets of pale blue sky I can see behind the clouds, and the cloud is quite high. Right, for Moeen then, at 360 for 5 in a lead of 282. Virat Kohli has 2 slips and the gully. Backwards square leg, as well as a forward square, almost at mid-wicket. And Shami's in around the wicket, and Moeen is forward, defends into the onside. And that man at forward square comes in to pick up. Mid-off and mid-on are there. And it's Ishan Sharma's now Siraj at point for Moeen. But he comes out to join his captain, Joe Root, 106 not out, and now level with Kevin Peterson on 23 Test hundreds for England. It's remarkable. Just think a few years ago, the debate that was being had about Joe Root's conversion rates, it was something that was rather even tormenting him by his own admission. He wanted to improve. What a year he's having. And goes Shami outside the off stump from around the wicket, and Moeen is easily able to let that go. Got a look of intense concentration on his face. So getting his eyes adjusted to the light out there as well. Conditions in the middle will look to settle in.
But before this year, Root had converted 17 of his 66 50-plus scores into centuries, and just 6 of his previous 32. Now 6 out of 7 this year.
Yeah. Something is clicking in a very good way. Shami rushing into Moeen. He's played at that outside the off stump, coming forward. And the ball's gone past the bats through to the keeper. Mohamed Shami just taking a moment to pause at the end of his follow through. Take a few breaths as well. He's taken 3 wickets so far, that of Burns, Bairstow and now Buttler.
Yep, that was good. The ball too. It hit the seam. Seam went down beautifully and just left Moeen. He's actually coming out of the chaos, if you like, of Indian chaos quite well, Shami. He's got 3 for 80 and he's suddenly found a little bit of rhythm here. The batting no longer looks quite so straightforward, especially if Root's not facing.
He and Bumrah have been standout bowlers.
Yeah, Bumrah
for India.
hasn't got a wicket,
No.
but he's deserved one, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, Siraj dismissing Malan and Jadeja got Hamid. It's Jadeja who is in now, around the wicket and roots forward, stroking the ball into the offside, and Jadeja moves to his left, picks it up one-handed, and will go again. Hum around the ground here with green trees just waving in a slight breeze behind the western terrace as Root defends again. Turn of the wrists and with the ball into the onside along the ground safely. He's been out there for 146 balls for his 106. Century came off 124 balls. Jadeja in again, going back this time. Root covers up on middle and off stump. A little bit of a twizzle of the bat in his hand before he settles again. Rishabh Pant is behind him as keeper. One slip in place and Jadeja's in once more. Little flick behind square. As Shami chasing after it. Picks up and Root through for 1. Onto 107. And England's lead 283. So Jadeja here, chance to bowl to the left-handed Moeen. Ball will be turning into him from some footmarks outside the left-hander's off stump.
And Moeen's often interesting against spin. And they will have a man loitering it, not right on the boundary at mid-wicket, but about 15 yards, 20 yards in, deepish mid-wicket, 20 yards in from the boundary. Mid-on's just a little bit deeper.
And Jadeja's in, he lets that go, Moeen. Covers his off stump, makes sure he knows where that is. And he's happy to let the ball go into the gloves of Rishabh Pant. There's a backward short leg as Moeen is forward. Oh, that's beaten, but it's turned and bounced. Does it come off the glove? Bats, they're appealing.
Well, they can only appeal for LBW because the first slip didn't catch it.
Oh, I thought he had Rahane, no.
Well, he should have done it. Lobbed to him. I don't think the ball was hit. I think it spun. And it took the top of the pad and then it ballooned to Rahane, who didn't catch it. And there is no review.
The changing face of England's side this year is rather interesting in terms of the age profile. The 2 tests against New Zealand was the first time in England's test history they've had 5 of their top 7 aged 25 and under. Now they have 6 of their top 7 aged 30 and over, and it's the first time they've had 6 of their top 7 aged 30 and over since 2001. So
something to be said for experience,
yes.
Suggesting.
So from that series, the New Zealand, Sibley, Crawley, Pope, Lawrence and Bracey not playing in this game. Malan, Bairstow, Moeen, Buttler and Hamid have come in.
Shami in, and there's a drive. It's been really well fielded, one-handed by Leaping. Is that Rahane in that position? Yes, it is. Cover. But Root did strike that with some force of timing.
Well, having heard that, another interesting stat, if I may be so bold, it will have cheered Darren Stevens up immensely, I'm sure.
Oh, he's on the cusp.
Yeah.
It's remarkable as well, isn't it, the difference it must feel batting when you've bowled a side out for 78 as opposed to when there's a lot more runs on the board. There's a lot gone in this batting lineup's favour. There's a leading edge from Root, squirts away behind square on the offside and goes through for one, and Shami's left slapping his thigh in frustration. The lead goes to 284, 362 for 5, and Root on to 108.
Yeah, well, a rare false shot there. He was playing that elsewhere on the onside probably, and it took the outside edge and scuttled harmlessly down to the third man. But he's in a bit of rhythm at the moment, Shami, and he seems to be getting it suddenly, for whatever reason, I don't know. But he's getting a little bit of movement.
It's not the floodlights, is it?
Well,
the lights have come on. Well, with the weird quirks of cricket, who knows ultimately what makes the ball swing and zip just a little bit more. But 3 slips in a gully as Moeen is facing up. He's on North, and Shami from the wider of the crease angles it into Moeen. He's gone with the angle down to fine leg, and he's off the mark with the single. Make him feel a little bit better. The field will move around now for the right-handed Joe Root. Of course, a different field with the set batsman in.
Played a great innings here, Moeen, didn't he? To no avail in the end against Sri Lanka. Got that 100 here. Almost got England to a draw. A long time ago now, that seems.
Just something I remembered about Joe Root earlier on as well, batting at Headingley, as Shami is in now to Root, and he's on his toes, drops us into the offside, fraction behind, square goes through for 1. He hasn't scored. There's one other 100 he scored at Headingley in tests, but he scored 100 on this ground against India in the one-day game here in 2018, which was the mic drop 100, or the bat drop. Do you remember that, Vic? He scored 100 against India and then dropped the bat.
Yes.
Much to the, well, I'm sure, a little bit of annoyance for Virat Kohli and his team.
Yeah.
And also, later, to the utter embarrassment of Joe Root himself. He later said it was the most embarrassing thing he'd ever done on a cricket field.
That's right.
Moeen facing up to Shami, and he's driving square past points. Siraj is after it, but he won't catch it. And Moeen scores his first boundary. A flowing drive. He's on to 5.
Yep, well, that's from vintage Mo. It's graceful, it seems effortless, and he just beat the field and had enough pace on the ball. But it always looks, when it works, it looks delightful.
Yep, serene type of shot. And it takes England to 368 for 5. Yeah, I wasn't surprised we didn't see a mic drop, bat drop from Joe Root reaching 100 here in this test match. Shami in outside the off stump, a shouldering of arms, he lets it go. He doesn't need to, does he? I mean, he's scoring that many hundreds. He's reeling them off in this year of 2021. Vic, I'll leave you with that thought, with the lead 219. Root's 109 not out, and Moeen Ali with him on 5. And then Jonathan Agnew's coming back in.
Well, he is reeling them off. But what was striking to me when he got this 100, because it was Headingley and because, well, he's a Yorkshireman here, there was real elation when he got that 100, and he took his time, and both his arms went up in the air in celebration. He saluted the entire ground. It was not a sort of mundane celebration. It obviously means a huge amount to get any Test 100, but to do it on his home ground, where his name's been chanted all through the afternoon, is obviously a very, very special moment.
He's got some cramp at the moment, though.
Yes.
He's hobbling around, just trying to stretch it off. But what an innings again. He really just playing supremely at the moment. 368 for 5. Jadeja's going to bowl to Root. He just turns it away, thickish inside edge. He's scurrying up the pitch, though.
Yeah, he's all right.
Cramp there. It's like he was doing a 100-metre sprint.
Well, he did. He's obviously almost guarding against an injury. He did an awful amount of stretching in the drinks interval. He was on the turf doing all sorts of different moves. And he's batted for so long this summer that the body, he's putting a fair strain on his body, but he looks okay at the moment. He doesn't want to stop batting, that's for sure.
Now Jadeja bowls a ball that's full and swept by Moeen out to the man on the deep square leg boundary, over to our left-hand side with a long-sleeve sweater on. It's a bit cool now, and the floodlights are on, in fact. So still an hour of cricket to go. Hour and 4 minutes to be precise, so they may get these overs in. There's 17 to go. I think it's unlikely. Jadeja bowls, it's full and driven by Roots to cover. Bairstow missed out again. He got himself set and once more didn't carry on, so it'll annoy him, no doubt.
Yeah, he looked as if he was going to get runs quickly, didn't he?
Jadeja has reverse sweep this time. That's 4. Straight out of the middle of the bat, down to that very short boundary at third man. And Jadeja, well, it's more of a wince than a smile, but a rueful look anyway in Roots' direction. He just can't bolt him at the moment.
It's the first one he's played in the innings, but he's done it perfectly. He's only played one of those sweep shots in front of square 2 against the left arm spinner, but he middled that as well.
Yeah.
Just a routine reverse sweep.
Again, making it look so easy. Jadeja goes in from round the wicket, bowls against very full, almost a full toss. She's driven to Kohli. And already be aware he's got an awful lot of batting to have to do in the second innings, and he's not in very good form. Jadeja, left arm from round the wicket, and this time Root finds the gap there in the offside and plays that away for another run. The lead goes up to 297 with an hour of play to go. So 330, 340. Could be that sort of region by the close of play.
That 4 took Root to 500 runs for the series in just the 5th innings.
I was asking Alistair Cook, and I'll ask him again, he's coming on in a minute, what it's like to be in form like this. What it's actually like to be a batsman who is in such amazing nick that you just, is it? Do you sort of worry about it? Do you fret about when it's going to go? All that sort of a thing?
Well, I don't know, but I can...
Have you ever been in form?
Well, I did have one tiny little phase in county cricket where I just kept scoring runs. 1 August, about 35 years ago or more.
It wasn't at Hinckley.
No, it wasn't at Hinckley. Who can score runs on that sort of track?
I thought you might have got more than naught.
But your mind is empty, you see. You've got no worries.
Yeah.
I think that's all the bit I...
You don't fret about losing it. That's the thing. When's it going to stop? Bumrah's on from the far end, and somebody's moving behind the arm up there, so Joe Root's saying, sit down, please.
You're right. You don't worry about where your runs are going to come from, because you know they'll come if you just sort of watch the ball and hit it. It didn't happen. It happened to me for about 10 days or so. It's happened to Root all summer. At a rather higher level, but Alistair Cook would be interesting.
Yeah, Bumrah over the wicket, then bowls and Root pushes that into the offside, sets off for a single, but is sent back.
Alistair in Australia,
absolutely,
on the Strauss tour when England won, and just kept scoring runs, or indeed in India. Do you remember?
Yep.
Well, perhaps he'll enlighten you.
Well,
I can't really give you any more help.
Well, I can give you no help at all. I have no idea what it's like. Tufnell had 1 innings in the day when he was in, I recall. one innings. Goes Bumrah, bowls outside the off stump, short, carved away by Root. It's a favoured area of his, down to third man. That's 376 for 5. Lead 298 with Root on 116. Opportunity for Moeen here to get himself established in this final hour.
Well, Moeen, I think, will be quite, unless something freakish happens, he'll be quite a busy man for the rest of this match, because I think the seamers haven't got much out of this pitch since mid-afternoon on the first day, and I think it will spin a little bit more, and there are more footmarks appearing.
Bumrah from round the wicket, bowls to Moeen, allows that to pass by outside the off stump. They haven't got many left-handers. Punt, Jadeja, and then
that's it, really, isn't it?
That's about it.
But he can get right-handers there. He's actually got Kohli out a few times, maybe. But you're right to note that nowadays the off spinner against the left-hander is a better matchup. That's to get that right, and the left armers to the right-handers. That's where the obvious danger lies.
Bumrah thunders in, bowls outside the off stump, and Moeen again just Withdraws the bat, it goes through low to punt. It's another long day out there. He's still got a smile on his face, though. I don't think he ever loses that smile.
No.
Ravi Shastri's looking very thoughtful on the Indian balcony there. It is amazing how that tsunami of momentum that India had at Lord's, it really was. Perhaps you had to be there to really feel it and see it. It's gone. It just went firstly before a ball was bowled here. Moeen turns this one away very fine. Testing the hamstrings down here of Sharma. He does pretty well, actually. Moving round to his left, keeps him down to 2. The lead is now 300.
I think that's what everyone's applauding.
I think so. I can't think of anything else.
Okay, well, I'm going to go now, and you can ask someone who might be able to answer your previous question rather better.
Well, I'm glad you had your moment, though, Victor.
I'll talk you through it sometime.
Don't bother. It's all right. 378 for 5. And Bumrah steadies himself. That hop, skip and a jump. And he comes again and bowls to Moeen, a slower ball, which is patted away into the leg side. There's no run, and it looks as if there's going to be some drinks being run on here. Whether they're official drinks or not, I don't think so. But, I think the physio's coming out to have a quick look at Root's back or sort out the cramp or something like that. But Root's peeled his gloves off and now he's taking his pads off. Not sure what the umpires will think about this. But, physio is going to try and set about something. The umpires are conferring. Moeen's having a drink at the same time. But cramp must be really frustrating, and he's actually showing there. It must be in the hands, really, isn't it? That's that where, if you've been gripping the bat a long time, Alistair, again, I wouldn't be one to comment about this, but if you've been gripping the bat all day.
Evening, Agnes. I just think it's fitness levels. I never once got cramp.
Didn't you?
No, I never got cramp. I used to get cramp a little bit in the evenings. Maybe I used to lie in bed and got cramp in my calf occasionally.
Right.
Maybe that's because you fielded and had a battle and a couple of Coronas or something, and you feel it just gives you a bit of cramp. But never had it when I never did this. This would have really bothered me if I was playing. I hate any distractions. I like the momentum of the game just to keep going.
Right.
And then after the physio coming out, then you just lose that bit, don't you? I feel.
Well, he's sucking on something there out of a tube. The physio's stretching his legs. The umpires have now decided that actually the game needs to move on, and they're wandering over slowly. But, you are allowed to have treatment on the field, but there does come a point where the umpires will say, look, are you fit to carry on? That's the question. To which Root, of course, will say, yes, I am, and as he's done now, and so that will be that. So it's a short session from the physio.
Just picking up on something Ali mentioned about Root at Headingley. He made his first Test 100 here against New Zealand in 2013. This is his first one in Test since then. But it's the third time he's batted against India on this ground. The previous two are one-day internationals. He's made 113 off 108 balls in 2014, 100 not out off 120 balls in 2018, and now 116 not out off 158 today in a Test. So in all against India at Headingley, 329 runs off 386 balls and only out once.
And with power to add, because he's 116 at the moment. Could soon go on. So come on, I was lining you up, really, Alistair. Just to talk about what it's like when you're in this sort of form. And okay, you're a different batsman to Joe, but in your way, you'd have had times where you just felt you were sort of indestructible, and just bat, and just not fear getting out, I presume.
We'd always had that fear of getting out. That never left you, even if you're in the best form. It's just that rhythm of getting into that rhythm of batting and how quickly you can get into that.
So it's Jadeja, a little paddle sweep there from Root. It's beautifully played, just a deft sweep, very fine. And a tired looking fielder heads off down to the covers there to throw the ball back again. Beautifully played, delicate, clever, perfect precision placement.
Yeah, and that form as a batsman is all about the timing of your triggers, the timing of your movements, so you're in the perfect place to hit the ball. And it's obviously very subconscious. It's all kind of out of your control. But what you can do as a batsman is cherish it clearly.
Jadeja, that's defended this time.
I used to hit hundreds of balls when I was in those times. That was one of Gucci's things to me. When don't hit too many balls when you're out of nick. Hit them when you're in nick, so you can try and.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Elongate.
Yeah.
That feeling and that.
Jadeja again. Root wants a single. It's not there. Square on the offside. Oh, so you hit more when you're in form.
Yeah, just to try and keep it going.
Right,
That was my thing. Obviously, that's what Gucci kind of taught me. And I suppose in 2010-11 when I had it, you're still just as nervous. You're still just as tense.
Jadeja, almost a leading edge there from Root. Clips the ball to mid-on.
And you're just desperate. I remember that series, I suppose, after game 2, you're like, well, I don't just have just 2 matches where I scored runs. You always want more. You're always greedy for more.
Jadeja bowls a low full toss. Root just guides that away for a single to the man on the cover boundary. Tosses it back in again. 383 for 5 with 1 ball to go. They'll gather round Moeen rather more because he's left-handed. He's got that rough outside his off stump. So there's going to be a short leg. Pujara's coming in there, but not where you might expect. He's behind square. Crouching now as Jadeja bowls. Moeen leans forward. Just allows the ball to trickle away into the offside. And what about the inevitable knowing that it's gonna go one day? How does that feel? And when can you feel when it's gone?
Not really, because you always hope, don't you? I mean, I remember getting asked at the end of that series in 2010-11 and in that final press conference, and I can't remember who asked me, but some journalist went, "Do you think you'll ever bat as well as that again?" And I was like, it took me surprised, the question, and I was only 26 at the time, and I think I gave the old line of, well, I hope I can continue and build and get better. But I suppose deep down, when I kind of walked out there, I kind of thought, well, actually, I probably will never bat again like that. Really? You average 100 and whatever I averaged in that series over a 5 test match series, and run scoring wasn't easy, but felt easier.
Bumrah bowls and Root on the back foot plays the ball away defensively. It actually crept back behind the stumps, but fielded by Punt. I just wonder what's going through Root's mind. Again, just score a mile he can, and people were saying he's using all these runs up. We won't get any in Australia.
Actually, someone's texted me that already.
Yeah, it's inevitable, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, enough now. Save him up, and we'll see him at Brisbane.
Well, the only person I would be questioning is whoever's come up with the Indian plans to Joe Root. Because whatever they are,
it's Bumrah. Oh, it's bowling! Root is out. Driving Bumrah. There might have been a little inside edge onto that. He swishes the air. He's disappointed at having got out, but it's been another wonderful innings. A showpiece innings by England's captain. He's played so many wonderful shots, and he's entertained the crowd here. I can see his mum and dad on the balcony applauding as he walks off, his bat tucked under his arm. Is there a little nick on that? No, I think it might have gone straight through. Just a straight drive, and we'll talk about that in a second, because you were about to say about the plans and where they bowled at him, and that is a much better length, I think, to bowl at Root, but that can wait for now. He's turning round, bat and helmet raised, saying thank you to the crowd who are all on their feet. Brilliant innings, and long may his form continue. He gets a little touch on the gloves there from Sam Curran, who'll come out next. Chris Silverwood, head coach, applauding too. Wonderful innings. His back foot strokes square through the offside will live long in the memory.
And just like that, it's all over. You're talking about cherishing the moment, try and get as many as you can. One little mistake as a batsman who's played absolutely beautifully, and kind of the process starts again, doesn't it? Because
do I mention that length? Because we have talked about it a lot, haven't we? And that is a fuller length in making Root play straighter, basically.
He doesn't. Joe doesn't have many weaknesses. He's an outstanding batsman who can play all around the ground. But the area you want him to hit you is straight. You want him to play that drive. You even saw today where the only shots he mistimed were the front foot drives to mid-off and extra cover. Every time with the back foot he played it beautifully. That's where you need to bowl him. Might cost you a few runs getting driven, but you much rather getting driven against Joe than back foot punch.
Yeah, well, you've got no chance, have you? Sam Curran's about to face his first ball, and then Dan Norcross will come in here again. The umpire there urging people to sit down behind the arm. Terrific innings, enjoyed by a full house at Headingley. It's thinned out a bit now, to be fair, looking at the blue seats there in the West Stand, but that really was a special display of batsmanship. Curran's first ball. He's not had the best of times with the bat recently. Bumrah bowls to him, and that's played back. He survived his first ball. Dan Norcross is coming in here.
I think the crowd remembered his king pair at Lord's. Ironic cheer, but just on that 100 and Joe Root. Pleasure to watch, pleasure to be here to see a man at the top of his game, and as probably as well as you can play in England, and he played absolutely superbly. A brilliant 100.
Here comes Bumrah. Curran has survived a ball, and he lets this one go by outside the off stump. There's day run. If you're wondering why we're saying that, well, he's come off the back of a king pair at Lord's. First man to get a king pair in the second oldest ground in London, Test ground.
I knew you'd have some kind of Surrey-based stuff. Is it? It must be the Oval.
I suppose it must be, yes.
Can't remember other Test grounds. We haven't been on air, I don't think.
No, it's first
very
time
much
in this Test, yes.
Yeah.
Well, you keep on going off and doing telly, and then we're like ships that pass in the night, Alistair. Bumrah into Curran, and Curran drives firmly into the ground, but Bumrah stops the ball with his palms of his hands. So England lead by 305. There are 48 minutes left in the day. A notional 14 overs, might get about 12 of those in. England, there's no particular urgency, is there, Alistair? They just keep going.
Absolutely. I said at the beginning of the day, if England bat all day today, they'll win the game. I got a bit greedy with Joe Root going and thinking, well, they can bat till tea tomorrow, and really just
500
keep on
ahead, yeah. Bumrah in, and that's played and missed at by Curran in the channel outside the off stump. It goes through to punt, and is the end of the over. 383 for 6. Root finally out, bowled by Bumrah. That ball jagging back in, and you're talking about that. I mean, if you can call it a weakness, I suppose you play that shot slightly differently when you're 121 as well, don't you?
And I wonder whether just physically, with obviously the cramp in his legs and his hands, whether that just affected his concentration a little bit. But when I say it's a weakness, it's not a glaringly obvious weakness. It's just I think you'd have to prefer to be driven than cut for Joe Root. And actually Australia tend to bring him forward quite well, actually.
Yes, I mean, he's paid so much off the back foot today. Sorry, Andy.
He's got the final figures for Root's innings: 121 from 165 balls, 14 fours, his 23rd Test 100, putting him joint second on the all-time England list behind Alistair Cook.
There's Jadeja starting a new over, and Moeen looks to sort of take his bat away, and then it runs off his bat down towards first slip.
I'd like Jadeja here. Sorry, Dan. I'd like Jadeja to bowl a little bit slower. You know, he's renowned wicket to wicket.
He's in now, and that's slightly more flighted perhaps, and played back up the wicket. There's now 60 miles an hour still. Yes, yeah, I mean, it's all relative, I suppose.
Yeah, and in India, where it is, he's almost unplayable when it is bowling this pace, certainly to the right-handers.
It's in off a couple of paces and looks for a single, which was definitely there, and Curran was just dawdling at the non-striker's end. So Moeen worked that square of the wicket on the onside. Mid-wicket had to make a lot of ground to his left, but Curran not quite got his head in the game yet.
So I was just a bit more pace off it. It's hard to explain in the middle of a Jadeja over.
Yeah. Whacked in the air to mid-on and taken. Ishant Sharma with the catch. He's deep at mid-on. It's not quite a long on. He's about 30 yards in from the boundary. And I beg your pardon, it wasn't. It's a substitute fielder who's taken the catch. The ball was just plinked by Moeen. He was looking to go up and over long on and didn't quite get enough of it. Slapped it really at head height. And the catch is taken. England lost their 7th wicket. It's not inconceivable India will be batting tonight.
I was saying I wanted to take pace off it, so invite Moeen to play a bigger shot. You might get a bit more reaction off the pitch, with being a bit slower, throwing up into that rough, but didn't really need to. Moeen just hit one straight at kind of deepish mid-on. It was Akhtar Patel, wasn't it?
Akhtar Patel,
who caught it. You always want more, don't you, as a captain? If you offered this to Joe Root beginning of the game, England lead, you're going to have a lead of over 300 after the first innings, he would have snapped every hand off. You would just think, God, wouldn't we mind 400?
Well,
you always want that, don't you? You always want more. But England are in a fantastic position. They wouldn't want to just, although lose all the momentum and lose all their last 5 wickets quickly. I think cherish every run and let's set the lower order a target. I always think set the lower order a target here. We'll go. I want to lead a 350. I want to lead a 360 and give them something to play for.
What's the collapse been, Andy? If we can call it that.
Come on, we can't use that word. They're 380 for 87.
4 for 33.
That's a collapse.
Oh, come on, we've had one of the good days.
Indeed.
England's batting.
Well, Craig Overton can also hold a bat very well. He has done in a couple of losing causes at Old Trafford back in 2019 when he dug in for a long time against a very good Australian attack. And ultimately England just fell about 8 or 9 overs short of saving that game. And
was he top scorer?
He was top scorer when England were bowled out for next to nothing in
New Zealand. Yeah, pink ball, wasn't it?
Sorry, Andy, we were about to say that.
It's just brought some harrowing memories back. Sitting on my sofa at midnight.
Jadeja in, pushed into the offside. There's no runners. I have lovely memories of that because I was out in Barbados covering the North v South games. Oh. Yeah, so
I was in. No, that wasn't the one I was invited to play on actually.
And any memory of Barbados tends to be a lovely one. Jadeja in, that turns Overton round ever so slightly as he works this ball, slightly turning ball into the onside, and there's no run. Wicket for Jadeja in that over. England 383 for 7. The lead is a very imposing 305. But if you're India, it just means you can stop fielding sooner. Things like that, isn't it? It means your fast bowlers won't have to come out probably tomorrow and put in another grinding session or session and a half. So they'll be buoyed by this session. Certainly 4 for 33.
There will be. There'll be two players out there that are hoping that England find another little partnership.
Well, they've got to last 32 minutes, haven't they?
Exactly, and it's only natural as an opener. It's horrible here because you want to bowl them out, but actually deep down, I don't really fancy a couple of tricky overs of James Anderson and floodlights.
No,
not much to gain. But
well, I'm going to ask you about James Anderson.
Okay.
When you've got a lead of 305, and given what happened when he last batted, not the very last time, but against Bumrah, that 10 ball over. Bumrah has ball in hand. He's about to start a new over with 3 slips and a gully to Sam Curran coming round the wicket. And Curran just defends in the front foot. And there's no run. Just the question is, do you send Anderson out? Really? I mean, is that, if you go 9 down, do you think actually we might as well declare at this point? What does it avail us to bat that little bit longer when I might get 3 overs in India tonight? What's that 10th wicket going to give you?
Yeah, you're probably right. Common sense would probably tell you, but I'm just greedy. I just want more runs.
More runs, right.
Less time in the field.
Bumrah into Curran, who drives, flashing drive through the offside for 4. That's a lovely shot. It'll make him feel an awful lot better. He's off the mark. It was wide, it was full, and there's a load of space on the offside because the field, since these wickets have been taken, has changed dramatically. It's much more attacking field. India on the search for wickets. By the way, more T20 Blast commentary tonight as Somerset take on Lancashire in the 3rd quarter-final. That's on 5 Live Sports Extra when we finished up here. And what an incredible match it was last night, with Hampshire beating Notts by just 2 runs. You can watch clips of that match and all the action here today on the BBC Sport website and app. 387 for 7. The lead 309. Bumrah into Curran. Gully's come out into the offside, and Curran just defends this full ball up to mid-off. So, well, actually, the field has now changed dramatically. There's a deep backward point, and there's an extra cover, saving 1. Fair gap on the leg side with a mid-on and a man just in front of square on the onside, saving 1. 3 slips remain in play as India try to wrap up this innings. And as you say, KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma willing them to do it in approximately 30 minutes' time.
But with no runs scored.
No runs scored, exactly. Bumrah into Curran, who pushes off the back foot, but straight the fielder at short extra, and there's no run. Overton, Curran, Robinson. It's suddenly a very different looking 8, 9, 10. When England started the summer, Andy, England's tail was a bit of an issue, wasn't it? People wondering what England's tail's been like. They didn't really know how well Robinson was going to bat as well. With Anderson, Broad, say Wood in there, and Robinson. That's a sort of Robinson at 8 and then kind of 3 tail enders. Whereas
amazing how the side can change so quickly and just evolve in a slightly different way.
Bumrah in, short, up on his toes, goes Curran, pushes out to the offside, fielded again at short
It's
extra.
all that planning you do as a coach and leader. Like, if you'd have said to Chris Silver, this is what our team would be 3 games into this series, he'd probably laugh at you, wouldn't he? Like, so there's no way that's going to happen.
Well, it also makes you wonder about the selection the first time. Sorry, Andy, you're going to tell us it.
There's only 4 players left from the first test against New Zealand.
Look at the old, talking about Ted Dexter, the old 29 in a series.
It's carnage, isn't it? Well, those 4 were Buttler, Root, Anderson and Burns, I suppose. So Bumrah is in, driven full. He's going to get it just past Bumrah's right hand. He hit it very firmly. Bumrah put out a right hand, prevented it running to the boundary for 4, but they'll get through for a single. And Overton's only been out there for 1 over, and already he has to have some running repairs. End of the over, 388 for 7. Curran will keep strike. He has 5. Overton yet to score.
From the first test against New Zealand, 4 left: Robinson, Anderson, Burns and Root, and only 3 left from the second test with New Zealand, because Robinson missed that after his suspension. So Burns,
oh yes, of course, because there was no Buttler, was there?
Anderson left from the second test.
So we'll probably,
this summer.
we could get a change to the next game with Mrs. Buttler, Louise Buttler, due for Joss's their second child. I don't know if he's.
I think it's due towards the back end of the 5th test.
Ooh, I think.
Oh, is it? Do you think it's the Oval test?
I don't know. I thought it was the next game again, or maybe I've missed.
No, you might know better than me.
I don't have it in my database.
Okay, yeah, Crick feels that one.
We don't keep the gestation cycles of the players' wives well enough documented, Andy. I think we need to have a little think about that.
Do you know, I remember earlier we were talking about what the win percentage for India was. Was it a 4%? Was it? Has it changed anymore? Has it gone down or up?
Well, it was down to 0%.
When was that? When Ruti and were going?
Jadeja starts a new over to Curran, who goes back into his crease and defends back up the wicket. And there's no
Surely
run.
there can never be 0%.
You can't have a 0, can you? You shouldn't have a 0.
Might be rounding it down to 0 and then go to decimal places. They're back up to 1% now.
Well, look, you know, if they score 550, which isn't inconceivable, it's a good day. Worked into the onside by Curran to short mid-wicket. There's no run.
I know their top 7 have to get those runs though, don't they?
They do, yes.
What is the biggest margin overturned?
Well, Hampshire.
In a test match.
Oh, in a test match. Jadeja outside the off stump, left alone. So there's a very famous match involving Hampshire, I think, when they got bowled out for something utterly derisory, like, someone will tell me now, but it's like 15 in the first innings, and they got something like 580 or 600 or something in the second. It's utterly crazy. As Curran digs out a full ball back to Jadeja along the ground, and there's no run. Andy's all over this.
Biggest deficit after the first innings to then win a game.
Oh, deficits, I see. That's cut away by Curran. That's a lovely shot. He waited for it, played it late, down to the deep boundary, down to backward point, almost deep third for 4. 392 for 7. Curran up to 9, his second boundary.
So we'll talk a little bit more seriously about Jadeja's bowling. You know, that pace he's bowling there kind of just almost goes through the rough. I know there's not a huge amount there, but if a bit slower, might give it a bit more time to grab it. It might, you know, with the short leg.
It's not gripping, you say. It's not
well, out the rough, out the footholes. I mean, off the good side of the surface, it's not spinning. About the footholes, you might get more turn by throwing a little bit slower. And it's hard for him to do that.
On and around off stump, worked into the onside. There's no run. Commentary continues on 5 Live Sports Extra digital radio via the BBC Sport website and BBC Sounds app. But Radio 4 long-wave listeners are leaving us briefly for the shipping forecast. So, end of the over, 392 for 7. Overton yet to score. Curran 9, the lead 314. Andy?
Technically, although it doesn't really count, the biggest deficit overturned is 331. That was England-Pakistan at the Oval in 2006. Pakistan had a massive first innings lead, and then the game was forfeited.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to think. I played in that.
Yes.
So, discounting that, the biggest was 291. Australia winning in Colombo in August 1992. Early in Shane Warnsker, I think he took 3 wickets at the end. Kalutharana made a debut century for Sri Lanka. After that, 274 in the incredible Calcutta Test of March 2001, when Dravid and Laxman had that massive partnership, and Harbhajan took a bucket of wickets.
Bumrah starting a new over to Overton with 3 slips and a gully in place, and Overton drives firmly to mid-on. There's no run. I thought you were thinking about the biggest disparity between a first innings score and a second innings score.
No, I was thinking So I was thinking that exactly that, the biggest
deficit conceded
after the first, and then to turn it around.
Yeah. Because what is the biggest disparity between first and second innings score? Because India are going to need, you'd think looking at this pitch, they're going to need in excess of 500, well in excess. As Bumrah is in, that's cut away for 4. They took a thick outside edge, it flew between third slip and gully and ran down to the boundary. Overton, in this over, he's already played an expansive drive to mid-on, and he's gone straight after a wide shortish ball. I wonder if that's instructions or whether he's just feeling, I want a bit of bat on ball.
He's a very accomplished batsman. You know, he's a lower order batsman rather than the tail end and knows exactly what he's doing. And I think, you want to play aggressively. You want to keep scoring, just not reckless. Just that was there to hit. You didn't quite get it right, but it's flash hard.
Bumrah's into him again, and he just dabs this off the front foot into the offside. There's no run. Andy, you've got the answer already.
Yes. Through the wonders of Andrew Sampson's incredible database, the biggest difference between a team's first innings and second innings, or indeed between the second innings and first innings, 551. Pakistan in Barbados in January 1958, 106 all out, followed by 657 for 8.
So India just get 629, I think, is that right? To equal that. Bumrah in, dabbed away, back at a square nicely for probably a couple of runs here. It's being pursued by 2 fielders. They do get back for 2, and Overton moves to 6, 398 for 7. England on the threshold of that 400, which is probably around about what they were targeting at the start of the day.
They played very well. And Ishant Sharma a backward point.
Yeah.
How many times he's fielded there in his 100 Test match career?
Doesn't feel quite right, does it, for the big fast bowler? Sort of the Jonty Rhodes position.
I don't think he would have been there at Lord's, would you? When they were fired up, when they were right on top of England.
Welcome back, Radio 4 Longwave listeners. Bumrah is in to Overton, who's just cut this carefully down to deep backward point, where Ishant Sharma has moved from a backward point saving 1. I think you've missed a 4, a 2 and a 1, Radio 4 Longwave listeners, all scored by Jamie Overton. Jamie Overton? Not Jamie Overton. 1C Overton, who moves to 7. Curran 9, 399 for 7. England on the threshold of 400. The crowd have refound their voice after that flurry of wickets. The lead 321. Bumrah's going to be round the wicket to Curran. Last ball of the over. 3 slips remain. Lights are on. Curran just defends his full ball back at the wicket. And there is no run. End of the over. 122 have been bowled, but it's another factor trying to get miles in the Indian bowlers' legs.
Yeah, they've done that, haven't they? They've done their job.
It's a no ball. Sorry, it's a no ball. And with that no ball, you know what that means? 400. Hear the crowd? Yes, 400. I love this Headingley crowd because it's almost like a sort of benchmark crowd. And you know when there's a 6 scored, you get that noise, which is whoa, and then way, and then when it gets signalled, they do it again. It's a 3-part noise you get. Bumrah in, defended off the back foot, back to the bowler, and there is no run. End of the over. 400 for 7, England, the lead 322. Curran 9, Overton 7. And Overton just showing signs of urgency here. Now, for England to be bowling tonight, I mean, the other question is, it's not going to happen, is it?
The declaration.
Well, Root's got a bad back and he's got a bit of cramp. He doesn't want to come out, does he?
Well, the very aggressive declaration. No, I don't think it's going to happen.
But they get 5 overs in. But then, your bowlers haven't warmed up. It's one of these things I always think about that declaration, is that Jimmy Anderson, your main bowler in this situation, has been sat probably with his feet up. Jadeja in, forward in defence comes Overton, defence back to the bowler. He's not going to be loose, is he?
No, it depends what mood Jimmy Anderson's in, whether you went to him. I mean, I would never. I'll just keep batting. But if he would, you don't. He might be asleep. Might be halfway through his crossword or something.
Jadeja in, drives the ball back to the bowler, does Overton, and there's no run. That's a revelation. I didn't realise that Jimmy's a cruciverbalist. As Jadeja is in again, forward in defence comes Overton, pushes into the onside, and there's no run. Alistair Cook is leaving us. He's spared the dissection of Jimmy Anderson's dross words. But Ebony Rain for Brent is not. As Jadeja bowls once more, forward again comes Overton, just blocking anything that Jadeja can bowl at him. Pace come down a touch, 57 miles an hour. Alistair Cook was calling for that. He's around the wicket short, whipped away by Overton, but he won't get a run because decent bit of fielding by Shami at short fine leg. Diving to his left, prevents a run. 400 for 7. Jadeja tosses this up and is driven into the onside without great timing. Ishant Sharma makes slightly, what can I say, tired pursuit of it and falls over in stages. But I suppose prevents perhaps a run or two. They get through for a couple. And Overton moves with that to 9. England 402 for 7.
It's been a long few days in the field, right? Just watching Ishant Sharma. Who would have predicted this test to have had England bowling out, India for 78, and now they've posted 402 on the board, especially after Lords. This is the last thing I would have had down as a response. I'm not saying they've won it yet, however, they've put themselves in an unbelievable position. So fair play to them. Fair play, and they've gone at a decent rate. 3.5 runs the whole way through. So
Ebony, continue thinking along those lines, and I'm going to get out of the way for Alison Mitchell, who's arrived.
Okay, I'm thinking. Andy, are you poised?
It's going to go back to the toss when thinking about that. Now, the momentum India had, that idea of should India have brought England's great strength, their seam bowling, into the game at the start of the game when their batting had been crushed at Lords. If you're the captain, do you not want to expose your opponent's weakness rather than bring their strength to the fore?
Yeah,
Discuss.
There's two parts to that. I think one is you want to, with an overcast day. Sorry, Ali, I'll let you come in and warm it up first.
Well, no, I was going to say, I'll describe this Siraj delivery, Ebbs, and then you can pick up again. So 2 slips in and Siraj is on from the rugby stand end of the ground, and it's defended by Curran from the crease, and there's no run. Yes, discuss.
Yeah, well, I was going to say there's two things. One is it was overcast. You want to put England up against their weakness. The conditions look bowling friendly. The other is we got handed a stat. Like, you get a few stats, don't you, ahead of the game. One clear one was that Headingley, it's a very good bowl-first venue. Now, these teams have this information coming in and out, left, right and centre. And so they would have known that bowling first is a good option.
Siraj is in full, turned into square by Sam Curran, fraction behind. Picked up and he's scampered very quickly through for 1, 403 for 7.
So they handed the data, the overheads, England's weakness with the bat, especially early doors. I would say everything was going for them taking that option
to bowl first.
And England were not frustrated. I think we even heard Joe Root say early on, I heard him mention about, it was not the worst toss to lose, it worked out. So I think they've handed them an advantage, that's for sure.
And the dryness of the pitch kept being cited as Siraj is in, defended by Overton. So if that was a factor in thinking, let's make use of it while we can and get some first innings runs on the board. But then they didn't.
Yeah, and then I suppose the next stage, isn't it, is that there's one thing maybe not starting perfectly with the bat, but also all out for 78 it's a horrendous day at the office.
I mean, you could bat and still feel like you haven't really made the most of it and be all out for like 180, 200 even is a different. You've got something behind you. Hasn't quite been timed by Overton, a little bit off the inside half of the bat, up to mid-on. And no run. He's on 9, Curran on 10. The lead's 325. Just to say, Michael and I are looking over that bunch of yellow-clad people in the Western Terrace. I presume they were bananas from this far away. They're in fact ducks. Well, if that wasn't striking fear into the heart of Sam Curran, then nothing was. Siraj in now, and Overton gets a full ball and he clips it along the ground out to deep square leg and through for 1. Happily for Sam Curran, it wasn't the third duck in a row for him after a king pair at Lords, and he's got into double figures.
I don't think I'd have that many mates I could convince to dress up with me. I think if I called everybody around and said, you fancy going as a banana to the football or to the ballet or something, maximum. What, I don't know, if I called you, would you join me?
For starters, I haven't seen anybody in fancy dress at either the football and definitely not the ballet.
Yeah,
I'd go with you.
Would you come to the
I'd go.
cricket? If I said come as a banana, what would be your response?
Where's my suit? Forward comes Curran, defending into the onside. I'd need quite a long banana suit because I'm quite tall. So it depends.
But you'd do it if I got the right size.
Yeah,
banana
I'm
suit.
putting myself out there. I would come to the cricket, Ebbs, as a banana with you, if you asked.
Andy, are you joining us?
No. Come as a Banana is a little-known Nirvana B-side.
Is that right?
No, Ali, it's not. Not everything I say is correct. Apart from my stats, obviously. Just something on Joe Root, past 500 runs in the series already. The players who've scored 500 runs in a 3-test sequence in an English summer. Not many have done it. For England, Michael Vaughan in 2002, Graham Gooch in 1990, and Dennis Compton and Bill Edrich in 1947.
Some pretty illustrious names on that list. Around the wicket is Jadeja, and Overton's forward to defend no run.
And visiting players Steve Smith in 2019, Mohammed Yusuf of Pakistan in 2006, Graham Smith of South Africa in 2003.
Jadeja in now. Overton goes back. Little flick of the wrists to turn it into the onside. No run.
Brian Lara in 1995, Viv Richards in 1976, Don Bradman twice 1930 and 1934.
Jadeja into Overton. He's forward defending again. Rolling the ball up to mid-on. No run.
And Bradman's teammate Bill Ponsford also in 1934. So it's a pretty rare feat. 500 runs in a 3-test sequence during an English summer.
Jadeja. More expansive shot up and down the ground by Craig Overton. One bounce and over the rope. It was almost a 6. It wasn't far off. Overton taking a liking to Jadeja, and he has just lofted on drive for 4.
That was slotage. That was right in the slot for you to just swing the arc of your bat through. That is really nicely played. Obviously, mid-on, mid-off, up in this format at this stage, and it's a free shot, really. And seeing it nicely.
14 from 20, Overton. The lead's 330. Jadeja in again, and he looks to defend this time, getting a big stride forward. He's a tall man and defends it to mid-wickets. Another ball to come from Jadeja. 408 for 7. Now, when 2 wickets fell for no run, when Root went and then Moeen went very quickly, I sort of got a sense of, well, what if India were to take these last 3 wickets quite quickly? And Jadeja is in, defending again towards mid-on and no run. Because the lights were on, it's 408 for 7 at the end of the over. Lights on, a little bit murky. Would have been the worst thing in the world if England had been bowled out in quick succession at that point. With the lead, sort of 310 as it was then, or thereabouts. And England had a little bowl at India for the last 20 minutes of the day. Would have been an interesting proposition.
Probably not the worst thing in the world at the moment, certainly. There's quite bad things in the world.
Well, that needs to be noted.
But
as far as the match goes, and some interest for the crowd here at Headingley.
I get your point. I think also it felt like the ball just did a little bit more when it's looked really flat. They felt like there was just a little bit in it for the bowlers. Like you say, the lights coming on. And it would give England that chance to have a little quick dart tonight, plenty of rest, and go all in tomorrow. So, yeah, but also I can understand England are enjoying piling on the runs.
Yeah, they just want to get as many as possible at the moment. Curran is defending to Mohammed Siraj into the offside and no run. 408 for 7, the lead 330. If you've missed any of the action today, make sure you watch the highlights programme tonight. It's on at 7 p.m. on the BBC 4 tonight. It is on BBC 4 at 7 p.m. and indeed you can watch it on the iPlayer as well. So if you aren't able to watch it as it goes out, you can catch it any time after that and indeed in the morning. And there's live athletics on BBC 2. That's why the channel's been changed this evening. Siraj in now. A touch fuller to Curran, has him moving forward. It's fielded at mid-off and no run. Of course, any of the wickets that are falling, all the clips are on the BBC website and app. The live text is on the BBC Sport website. There you can see some of Joe Root's sumptuous shots the moment he got to his 100, indeed. It was a really heartfelt celebration, wasn't it? Quite some gusto. I mean, I thought he celebrated with a great deal of gusto at Lord's. Here it was a little bit different. He acknowledged the whole ground. Oh, now here is Curran going down the ground, an aerial over mid-off. It drops safely. It's chased back towards the rope. And he's come back for the second. But certainly looking to take the attack to Siraj late in the day.
Yeah, I missed. Do you know what? You just said something, and I was going to answer something, and then the ball happened. What did you say?
Joe Root
celebration. Yeah, sorry, that's what I was going to say. Is that home crowd is such a different vibe, isn't it? It's, you know, somewhere you've played for so long, you feel comfortable. You most probably know a million people in the ground, from hospitality to possibly the people who work behind the scenes.
Siraj, and again to Curran. He's defending this one back of a length slightly and into the offside. If you consider as well that, you know, all of last year, England playing their home test behind closed doors as well. Root referenced the crowd simply for his Lord's 100, but you're right, here with your friends and so many more friends and family members here.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lord's is kind of like, I can imagine a lot of people just want to get on that honours board. It's like a career number one thing you want to try and achieve, but this is a kind of a warming.
Siraj in, still with 2 slips to Curran. It'll drop and run into the offside. He sends Overton back. Probably a good decision as well. The ball's fielded, so no run.
Yeah, just a warming, emotional thing. Like I was saying, you mostly know everybody around the ground in the sense of people who work behind the scenes. Would have seen many of the fans over the years, got to know the locals. It just brings out a different kind of emotion. So we saw that reflected today.
Yeah, it was a tremendous amount of warmth in the ovation, wasn't it? And it was an elongated ovation as well for a Yorkshire England captain scoring 100 on his home ground in a test match. Siraj over the wicket now to Curran, punching this away towards wide mid-off. Throw comes in, he's putting the dive and he's got home. The throw missed the stumps and he's taking the single to Jadeja, India's best fielder. He's now completely covered the bottom half of his jumper with dirt from the dive. That Curran's on to 13. England are 411 for 7 now. Tell you what, if the throw had hit, if it had been a direct hit, I think he might have been out.
I think he would have been. The thing that might have actually worked for him was it was going to Jadeja's left hand and going further away, so he almost had to grab it and get around a little bit, which lost a fraction of time. If he would have been able to almost just cut directly across, he would have had a little bit more time.
Ollie Pope has come out with something for Sam Curran. He's asked for a change of gloves now. I think I wasn't sure if it was a message. Yeah, well, he came out earlier and spoke to Craig Overton, who then went and spoke to Sam Curran, and I wondered if that was some sort of message. But actually, I think all that happened is Ollie Pope came and I think Overton had gone out without his black armband on, of course, in memory of Ted Dexter. I thought, well, surely England haven't thought ahead that much to say, go on, Craig, you go out without your black armband, so that it gives us a reason to take something onto the field so we can give you a message in the last hour if we need to. I don't think they'd be thinking that far ahead.
Yeah, definitely not.
But, yes, you never know. Some gloves came out, but we've got 15 minutes left in the day. This is England now going through to the close. See if they can extend their lead further from the 333 it already stands at. Ishant Sharma is coming back into the attack to replace Jadeja now.
His economy was quite high, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Going at 4.
He's been the more expensive of the India bowlers.
And a few no balls earlier today. Line just a little bit wide at times. He struggled.
Jadeja spells 17 overs, 1 for 51.
Not getting the wicket of Moeen. Here comes Ishant then. So 2 slips for Curran. And Ishant is around the wicket, the left-hander, and he's immediately walking out of his crease to him and then changed the mode from attack to defence. Angles the ball out towards point and is able to take a single. But, he immediately was advancing on Ishant.
Yeah, no signs of shutting up shop here. Quite the opposite. Got that bat up high with an intent. Didn't quite get the ball he was looking for, but maybe it could be a fun 15 minutes, Ali.
Well, maybe that was a message from Ollie Pope as he came out to the middle. So let's just really have a go, see what you can get in the last 5 or so overs of the day. So Craig Overton, 14 from 22. We've seen him launch one down the ground. Ishant, tall bowler, lengthy run up, in now to Overton, and he's going to drive a foolish ball. Hasn't quite timed it up to mid-on. There was no huge amount of intent about that, just some positivity. Hamid Siraj is doing his best to get a bit of shine on this ball. India took that second new ball, hoping it might bring about a much earlier breakthrough than what they got, but instead it meant that the ball came off the bat a little bit better, a little bit quicker, and Joe Root and David Milan were able to score well. Johnny Bairstow batted alongside Root as well. He was out in the middle with him when he got his 100, which was another nice touch for him to be alongside his Yorkshire teammate. Is that the case? I think it might have been the case at Lords as well, that Bairstow was alongside him when he reached 3 figures. Ishant into Overton, looking for a Yorker-length delivery. It's been whipped away along the ground through mid-wicket for 4 by Overton. A nonchalant shot.
There's a look of pain in Virat Kohli's eye at the moment. It's one thing, I suppose, Joe Root taking you and whipping you down there for 4, but when the all-rounders and the bowlers start cashing in and making the shots look like they're top-order batters, it hurts. That's lovely. Took it out in front early. Bit of flourish onto the leg side. Really nice shot.
Ishant took some pace off, ran the fingers down the left-hand side of the ball. Overton seemed to pick it nice and early. Saw his opportunity to score. He's on to 18, the lead 3-3-8, and Ishant in some width this time, cracked through the offside, behind point, and Mohammad Shami is there to field. A deepish backward point about 3/4 of the way back to the boundary, and Overton through for a single. 339 now, the lead. Each one of these runs is a little bit of extra pain for India and for Virat Kohli.
Well, they're definitely not slowing down here, are they? Intent, purposeful, using feet.
Of course, whenever India come to bat themselves, it's going to be a couple of tired openers as well who have been in the field through yesterday and all day today. Floodlights on at Leeds. The clouds are grey, they're high though, and Ishant is around the wicket now to Curran, who tucks it off his hip down towards fine leg, finds the fielder again. Shami waits for the ball to come to him as Curran jogs another one. 340, and they'll be pushing up 350 onwards by the end of the day. It's been a tremendous batting effort from England, with Hamid and Burns resuming not out overnight. Neither were able to add many to their overnight scores. Burns was out for 61 and Hamid for 68, but then David Milan on his return to the England side made 70 and batted in really good partnership with Joe Root for his 121. Milan was caught behind off Siraj in the end, but taking the score up to 298 and a lead of 220 by that stage. Ishant is in defence this time from Overton, getting well forward, and there's no run. And then Johnny Bairstow made 29 as Kohli took a low slip catch off Mohammad Shami. Jos Buttler didn't last very long. 12 balls. Ebbs for his 7. Caught by Ishant. So clipped the ball straight to him.
It's interesting how they're going to work with Jos Buttler, just in the sense of he hasn't quite found the form they've been hoping. I know the winter he's already alluded to, he may take some time out. And then you think, well, there's only a couple of games for England to get that formula right in that middle with the gloves and how that's going to play out. So I think he'll be frustrated by that, because I think if I was a coach thinking, right, how am I going to manage not just now but the next few games, that sort of performance, just chipping up and looked out of sorts, wasn't ideal really.
And he had such a platform of runs behind him. It's the best situation that any of the middle order bats have come into throughout the summer so far. But Buttler of course didn't play the New Zealand series, so straight into these India tests. And then we saw Moeen dismissed just after Joe Root, in fact, for 8 off 18. There's a short ball, it's been swung away, should be caught, is caught at deep backward square. England's push for runs, well, it's come to an end as far as Sam Curran is concerned. He's gone for 15. Mohammad Siraj gets another wicket. England's lead is up to 340, 418 for 8.
It's the biggest beam on Mohammad Siraj's face, because Sam Curran has just dropped a dolly straight down the fielder's throat, really. It was just a pre-regulation short ball. He could have put it in so many different places and just popped it straight to the man on deep square. So you look at the replay and there's a huge beam of a smile. After a long day in the dirt, he will take that wicket for sure.
So 15 off 30 balls for Sam Curran, and just under 10 minutes left in the day's play here. Axar Patel with the catch, a second now on a substitute fielder. So Craig Overton still there on 19. Ebbs, a few more thoughts from you, because Daniel Norcross is going to come in for these last 8-9 minutes.
Well, there's no real long-term damage to England in the sense that they have got 418 runs on the board. Obviously, they would have liked to have maybe finished it up and given a few blows tonight. See how they finish in the morning. For India, though, they've toiled for a long time and only got some sort of reward this afternoon. But England can do what they want, really. It's interesting that they haven't shut up shop. They've just still decided that they wanted to push the score, really.
I was chatting to Aggers next door, and I sort of mentioned it about 40 minutes ago. Wondered about maybe thinking about a declaration and having 20-25 minutes, 2 bursts with a new ball. Can't be done now, of course. Now it presents a slight issue that if England were to lose their 9th wicket, they don't really want to send Jimmy Anderson out to bat with another bowler. There aren't going to be many more runs to get. And presumably there will be a bouncer barrage the moment Anderson arrives.
Do you think they'll still hold on to that beef?
Yeah. I hope they don't hold on to the beef, but I think it's to me it's a legitimate tactic to bowl short around the rib cage to Anderson, because he does fend off there, so it's a way of getting him out, and his defensive technique isn't too bad to the full ball, so it's reasonable to do it. But it then means that Anderson comes out under lights. I mean, this is all moot if they don't lose a 9th wicket, of course.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's just things that if you do declare earlier, then those issues don't then
I suppose
materialise.
There's a few things, isn't there? There's so much time in the game. It's ridiculous that this is day 2. The other is this side has most probably been desperate for runs for a long time. You want to just let everyone feel bat on ball all the way down the order.
In a comfortable situation without pressure.
Too much pressure. Just get your eye in, get feeling it.
Oh, yeah. That's the wonderful thing about this game, isn't it?
Yeah.
That,
but you're right.
Both ideas, I think, have merit.
If this was day 3, I'd be saying...
Do it.
Retire. Declare, get out, push the game on. I think just because it's moving at such a pace.
Well, indeed, the lead 340. England will always want more. And for India, Siraj has had a little bit of treatment in the last few minutes. Robinson has come out to join Overton, who's 19 from 26 balls, batting very well. Robinson has had a promising start to his Test career with the bat. Not pulled up any trees, but
he scored a few at New Zealand, didn't he?
He did on his debut at Lords. We have all the figures beautifully presented to us here by Andy. 42 from 101 balls in his first innings.
Resistance, some runs.
Yep, 0, 15, 8 and 9, but that 9 was in an attempt to draw, batted for 39 balls before he was undone by that splendid bit of bowling by Bumrah. Siraj is in, 3 slips in place. Robinson defends on the front foot, back to the bowler. There's no run now for England. They may as well just target close of play and come back tomorrow. There'll be this over, of which there are 4 balls remaining, is that right? And then
another 2?
Probably, 2? Maybe 1.
Maybe.
I mean, there's a bit of synchronised gardening happening now between the 2 batters who are just having a little look. We might get
scratch the guard.
Might get the scratch the guard.
Walk away to a square leg.
Yeah, there's probably somebody walking somewhere behind the bowler up there at the Emerald stand who can be some sort of scapegoat. Siraj in, and Robinson defends on the front foot. We've seen a lot of splendid forward defence today. This one goes to extra cover and there's no run. Andy,
just an update on the Joe Root versus second highest top scorer for England this year statistic.
Oh yes, please, because it's Rory Burns and he's increased that lead, hasn't he?
He has, despite Burns'
Can I have a guess?
fine innings of 61. Yes.
It was 363.
Is it up to 974?
It is
974. Because that's a number in itself. Isn't that the most number of runs scored in a series?
Yeah, that was Bradman in 1930.
Yes.
You two should have gone to school together.
Forward in defence comes Robinson. Plays back to the bowler and there's no run.
Root has 1,398 runs from his 21 innings, an average of 69.9. Burns 424 runs in this calendar year now. So.
What's his average?
Burns how many?
424.
424.
Which is the highest first-class score made in England, coincidentally. Previous biggest margin by one player over the next highest-scoring teammate in a calendar year, Viv Richards, 881 runs more than the second highest-scoring West Indian in 1976.
Roy Fredericks, was it not? Here is Siraj into Overton. Overton defends into the offside square of the wicket, just dabs the bat down. Overton Robinson, I beg your pardon. And there's no run. One ball left in this over, and then I think it will be just the one more. So we'll lose 3 overs from the days played. Had worse days.
Yeah, it's
yesterday.
not the worst. How many was yesterday? About 7?
Felt like that.
6, 7 maybe?
Yep. There have been some stoppages. There's been the odd injury here and there. There's been running repairs and treatments. But Jadeja has bowled a lot of overs today.
17 in that last spell, wasn't it?
It's as many as that.
That last spell.
And he bowls each over very quickly
Rapid.
indeed. So there's a fair bit of faffage that's been going on. And Siraj comes in to complete the penultimate over of the day with the lights on. And Robinson lets this go by outside the off stump, but it goes through low to punt. And there's sort of very end of the day feel with the ball's not sort of quite coming through. And it's
64 miles an hour. Was it a bit of like a moon ball he bowled? I don't know if it's tiredness or he was trying to be smart, but it floated.
It really did. So I suppose this means that the last over of the day, wicket falls now, Anderson wouldn't have to come out to bat.
No.
Then, if it did fall, they would have the question of Whittington declare overnight. If they do, at what point? Presumably they can declare. Can they declare it 10 to 11? Could they actually pad up?
I always
and get all ready.
Evilly like the idea of you make them come out just as they think they're, and then you just throw them the curveball.
A bit like Kohli did after lunch at Lords. So the last over, Sharma exhaustedly runs in and bowls outside the off stump, goes through to the keeper, and there's no run. Sharma now does look like an absolutely, exhausted. He's an exhausted looking man. It's been a long day in the field for India. England started it on 120 without loss. They've scored 298 runs for the loss of 8 wickets. They've taken the lead to 340. It's a massive, massive lead.
Well, there's a good old chin wag going behind the stumps with Virat Pant and Rohit Sharma. Spirits look a bit higher than when they were being ground into the dirt, I think.
Well, they know it's nearly over for today.
For the day. They got a couple of wickets towards the back end.
I don't blame them. Sharma lollops in and bowls wide outside the off stump, cut away by Overton. That's a lovely shot. It's going to go and run away for 4. It was a poor ball, short and wide, but Overton is not going to not cash in, even if it is the last over of the day. He moves to 23, the lead 344. I'm slightly wondering why Ishant Sharma is being made to bowl this ball, this over, really. Exactly. And in the box, I look behind me, I see Jonathan Agnew mimicking his action. I see Andy Zaltzman doing it. And essentially what they're describing is a man falling over exhaustedly at the crease. This ball's going round arm. You would think, given his age and seniority within the side, somebody might have been able to bowl this last over, but Sharma's going to do it. He's continuing in. Sun peeps through briefly, left alone outside the off stump.
There's going to be a race for that massage chair, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
You know
how many masseurs?
Well, I don't know how many they have. I just remember when we had that available. There's a physio. There was either a race to the physio or to whoever's giving the massage, and I think.
I don't think Sharma's going to win that race looking at him. But you'd position yourself at long off at this point, wouldn't you? Because where we are, where the bowling's coming from, long off can get off really quickly.
Yeah. There's a lot of bowlers who... how many overs, how many miles have they put in their legs today, Andy? Come on. Sorry, just general overs.
Here is Sharma. Into Overton. Overton comes forward in defence. A tired-looking ball, 82 miles an hour.
This is Ishant's...
There's no run.
This is Ishant's 15th over of the day. Bumrah also 15. Shami 15. Siraj 16. And Jadeja bowled 26.
It's almost like there's a plan to make sure they all get the same number of overs. Which I suppose there would be. Yeah.
I've done my stint. Over to you.
Thank you. And good night. Yes.
Shami's been mostly the most effective of all, with the wickets, and
Bumrah had a decent spell as well, didn't he, when they were drying up the runs against Hamid earlier. Here comes Sharma, penultimate ball of the day, short, cut away again by Overton, but this time just behind squares, goes down to deep backward point where Cheteshwar Pujara is patrolling, and they get through for a run. 423 for 8. The clock has ticked over to 6:30, so this will be it. Last ball of the day. There's the batter's still having a chat. Can't quite be sure what the chat could be
They're
about,
both
or indeed what the
gardening
gardening is about.
Same spot.
Yeah, Owen now taking guard.
Might be what we're watching tonight.
Could be.
Netflix or other services that are available.
Yes, there are. Yeah.
I don't know what else exists, but
BBC iPlayer would be.
BBC iPlayer is the place to be.
Yeah. Very fine service. As Sharma runs away from us. Last ball of the day. Robinson. Oh, big appeal for LBW. That looks out to me, unless he's got some bat on it. Could this be a last ball in the session again? Now Kohli's talking to Ishant Sharma. They're going to have a chat.
Siraj made him go for it.
They go for it. Here we go. This happened the last ball before tea. Now the last ball of the day. They're having a look. My initial feeling was if he didn't get any bat on it, it was very close. By very close, I mean out.
I think I heard a woody sound, but let's listen.
It's a fair delivery, so can we have a look at front on spin vision, please?
Well, the players can now walk off, because it's the end of the day's play. They can just walk off while this is happening. Now then, big inside edge.
Okay.
There's a huge inside edge.
Mark. We'll go back to Alex on field to stay with his original decision. Clearly inside edge onto pad. You're on screen now. Stay with your decision.
So Robinson survives the last ball of the day. DRS turned down, and they lose that review. How important that's likely to be, I very much doubt. England 423 for 8. Craig Overton 24 not out. He will resume tomorrow if England don't declare. From 31 balls. There have been 87 overs in the day's play. England has scored 303 runs. They've lost those 8 wickets. It's been their day, but crucially, it's been Joe Root's day. They lead by 345 at the end of the second day. Just these pure numbers are astounding and bizarre. Ebony, a few quick words from you, and then to talk you through the day's play, it's going to be Deep and Jonathan Agnew.
Well, I think the key here is worth saying that England dominated day one by a country mile. And the question is, could they come and back it up and do it on a second day and in a different discipline? And they have done that. Runs galore, especially for the captain. Great to see Milan post a nice 70. And then some top scores there for the openers as well, Burns and Hamid. So all around, the cupboard is looking pretty full from an England perspective, and they drive the game with plenty of time left, Aggers.
They do, Ebony. Thanks for your company today. We'll catch up with you tomorrow for sure. The sun's shining here. It's a rather pleasant end to the day, but there were some weary limbs in that Indian dressing room. What a day they've had. It really has been a very long day of hard work, and all those bowlers being put through their paces. Some terrific batting from England, and we're saying it's one of those rare occasions where it seems that the selectors just could sit back and say, hey, we've got everything right, because those who they've brought in and so on have all performed so far in this match.